also live on our social media channels. You can join the conversation, as always, because it's live and interactive via our WhatsApp line 0549 986 996 or 020-444-7033. My name is Akufo-Addo. This week, as always, has been eventful for the first time in many years, and the president undertook his first major reshuffled quite some influential ministers and brought in some fresh limbs. Many have questioned the timing of the reshuffle. People think that it's come a little too late. Others think that it does not matter. What is important is that there are new people to help make some change. But what change really can they make about 10 or 9 months to a major election? Is it a reshuffle for the national cause, or it's a reshuffle against election 2024? Many have proffered various comments on these matters. We will subject these matters to some analysis this morning. Also, in the week, for one of the very first times also, we've seen young sports lovers, led by some sports journalists and enthusiasts, demonstrate against the GFA and managers of our football. They say they want the football fixed. They want the game fixed. They are not happy that in the last 2 or so AFCONs, Africa Cup of Nations, Ghana has not done well. Ghana put up very poor showing, exiting at the group stages, losing to countries who hitherto could not be compared to Ghana: Comoros, Cape Verde, etc. They could not even win a single match. And in fact, analysts have said that in the last 12 or 11 games, Ghana has only won 1. That is not characteristic of the Ghana we have known, the nation that won 4 Africa Cup of Nations tournaments as far back as 42 years ago. What can we do? The young people are not happy. The young people think that the managers of the game are toying with the emotions of the country, because when the Black Stars lose, the whole country becomes very sad. Whilst others, they say, benefit. They are calling for sweeping reforms. They want the management committees disbanded. They want the committee set up to search for a coach disbanded. They think the problem is not a coach. The problem is the system. So we must fix the system, and after we fix the system, we can then find a coach. Indeed, the matter went to Parliament because they presented a petition to Parliament. Some members of Parliament did not mince words in going after the GFA and managers of the football. Some of them even think that the nation or the state should intervene or interfere, and then see what the consequences will be. If it will mean that interference or intervention will bring our football back on track and bring back the love, as they say, and risk a FIFA ban, so be it. We'll look at all of these matters today with some of the people who understand the issues thoroughly. Again, my name is Akufo-Addo. I'll take a short break, return, we'll do some updates and analysis. It is your show, a show for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. We'll be back shortly. Yeah, welcome back to the big issue. My name is Akufo-Addo. Today we are looking at 2 main issues. The ministerial reshuffle, too little, too late. New names have come. Some old names have been, well, some old people have been sacked. Ken Ofori-Atta, Kwesi Amoako-Atta for roads and highways, Ajima Menu for health, and a few others have been sacked. People think that it's come a little, too little, too late, too little, too late. But what is important is that the reshuffle has occurred. What do we expect of the new ministers? What would they be doing between now and the end of the president's tenure, which is 7 January 2025? Also, Save Ghana Football Demo occurred this week. What options exist for Ghana's football? We will look at all of that this morning. Now, let me provide you some updates. Now, the much anticipated reshuffle came months after the General Secretary of the MPP, Justin Kodia, publicly called on President Akufo-Addo to reshuffle appointees who were making the party and government unpopular. There is more in the following report.
The much anticipated reshuffle comes months after the General Secretary of the MPP, Justin Kodia, publicly called on the president to reshuffle appointees who were making the party and government unpopular.
Sanoma room na koso. Ebi mfufo ba abemu, ekofofo ba abemu a ekundi a yehwehwe 2024. Yes, Sabeka. My last question goes to the appointees of this government. Sabi mumudu ha abemba emanyamfa so. Abana semunyam. Say mabra no from adwuma nto no party no ye gitu no.
The reshuffle saw Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who has come under fire in recent times, being replaced by Minister of State at the Finance Ministry and MP for Karaga, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam. Interior Minister Ambrose Derry has been moved to the Jubilee House as a Minister of State and Henry Korte replacing him at the Interior Ministry. Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah gets a new challenge at the Ministry of Works and Housing after serving at the Information Ministry for 7 years. Dr. Bernard Okoboy, a former Deputy Health Minister and currently CEO of the National Health Insurance Authority, heads back to the Health Ministry as the substantive minister. He replaces Kwekwa Jemaimenu, who has been relieved of his position. Francis Asenso-Boakye, MP for Bantama, heads to the Roads and Highways Minister, replacing Kwesi Amoakwata. Gender Minister Lariba Abudu has been sacked few months in office and replaced by Dakwa Newman, MP for Kankwe South. Deputy Majority Chief Whip and MP for Ayawaso West Wogon, Lydia Seriam Alassa, heads to the Sanitation and Water Resources Ministry, replacing Frida Prepe, who was appointed less than 6 months ago. Deputy Energy Minister and MP for Sekendi replaces Mohammed Awal as Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister. President Akufo-Addo has also elevated some deputy ministers to be substantive ministers. For instance, Fatia Abubakar now heads to the Ministry of Information as the minister, and Martin Eje Mensah-Kosa becomes the Minister for Local Government and Rural Development. The president has also nominated Ophelia Mensah-Hayford, MP for Fantiman, as the new Minister for Environment, Science, Technology, Innovation, replacing Dr. Kweku Efriye. Titus Glover makes a return to government as he heads to the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council as the regional minister. The Oti Regional Minister, Joseph Makabu, is removed and replaced by Daniel Machoto. The president also nominated some MPs to serve as deputy ministers. For instance, Vincent Koasefua, the Member of Parliament for the Old Tafo constituency, heads to the Local Government Ministry as a deputy minister, while Sylvester Tete heads to the Information Ministry as a deputy minister. Charles Echampo is the new Deputy Communications Minister, with Dr. Prince Hamid Ahmed heading to the Ministry for Works and Housing as a Deputy Minister. Adelaide Ntim and Alexander Akwesi Akwa heads to the Health Ministry as Deputy Ministers, whilst Musa Abdul Aziz heads to the Fisheries Ministry as Deputy Minister Designate. Collins Adomako Mensah and John Kwabnaseni are Deputy Energy Ministers Designate. Kingsley Nyako is Deputy Education Minister Designate, with Festus Ewua Kofi as Deputy Employment Minister Designate. But how crucial is this reshuffle 10 months to the 2024 elections? A political analyst, Dr. John Osai Kwapo, has been given some insight.
I'm not entirely sure the extent to which he may or may not have had influence on this. At the end of the day, it's still the president's decision and the president's discretion. He may have sought his advice, I don't know. At the same time, these are people who will be serving this president. It may or may not mean that should he win the 2024 election, he will not retain, some of these individuals. But I think, for me, at this point, it's the president's choices, it's the president's decisions, and whatever input the vice president may or may not have had ultimately is up to the president. As to whether this helps the party break the age and help Dr. Bawumia be elected as, president, I don't think so. I don't think this would be the make or break, or at least one of the contributing factors to, how individuals would decide how they want to vote.
Meanwhile, the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the MPP, Divine Otu, is satisfied with the reshuffle. 6 of the new appointees are from the region. This, he says, is a good sign for the MPP in the Greater Accra region.
The appointment has kind of brought some joy. If you are on our social media platform, you see nearly everybody is happy. We think that these reshuffling arrangement has benefited the region more than any other region. And so we are extremely grateful to His Excellency, the President, for what he's done. And we are using this same opportunity to assure him that with what he has done, we feel recognized, we feel appreciated. At the same time, we feel challenged to be able to, work hard and deliver elections 2024.
Called for this reshuffle, or called for it many times. Of course, the NDC called for reshuffle, civil society called for it, the general public called for it. President decided to stick to his team. How did this hit you? Were there surprises in the reshuffle, in the list? Were there names you expected to be in there, even though I expected to see your name there? What was the general view about the reshuffle?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to our viewers and listeners as well. And then good morning to my co-panel, my senior brother, who have abandoned me for some time now.
When he's enjoying power and enjoying all the largesse, who has abandoned who?
Yes, many people, both even from the government. If I say from government, you have members of parliament, we have party faithfuls, we have a lot of party people calling for the president to reshuffle his ministers, that he has worked with them. Most of them have worked with him since he assumed office as a president from 2017. And many people thought that, yes, looking at the way some of them have done so far, they believe that if they gave way to other people, it will help. And apart from the party people, we have civil society organizations and other religious bodies, and even clergies who sometimes come and believe that, looking at the assessment of some of these people, they believe that if the president reshuffle them or bring new people, it will help. So for me, it's not a surprise to me at all, because we anticipate the reshuffling. And also, prior to the list coming out, some of us have all got a hint already that it will start with the MNDCs. So as soon as the MNDCs, 24 people were removed from their posts, they will believe that the following week, in fact, when the list came out on Sunday, and we're expecting the ministers and deputies.
The MNDC, it came on Saturday.
It came on Saturday.
We were on air, yes.
Yes. So we're expecting the ministers to follow the next Monday. But before President will appoint you as a minister or a deputy minister, they have to do a few checks of the capacity of the people. And on Valentine's Day, the president believed that that's the best gift he can give to some people.
And the disappointment he could also give other people.
Exactly. So for me, I think that it's a right call. The president knows what he is doing. He believes in the competency of these people that he has reappointed and reassigned them to some of the sectors that he believes that they can do much better. So for me, I think that it's a right call.
Why did it take so long? Reshuffle is a tool used by governments to do many other things, to encourage people, to put people on their toes, to refresh the team, etc. At some point, it was clear that the direction of the government was not as a lot of people expected. But the president still kept his team. He said his team, they were doing very well. The team was doing very well. The general secretary, quite unprecedented fashion, had to call on the president at a public forum to tell him to reshuffle the team. Why did it have to take him so long, and why was it so difficult for him to do this simple thing of reshuffle?
I don't think this is simple. I don't think that
no, presidents have reshuffled. The reshuffle is, presidents.
He is working with the people. So if he believes that they have the competence, these people are doing what I'm expecting, then why do you have to reshuffle them?
For example, Ken Ofori-Atta, in an unprecedented fashion again, members of parliament, it became a majority group or caucus decision that the man should leave because he was not doing well. That was what it was. Yeah. And these are the people you work with in parliament. They push your agenda. And look at it, took over 1 year. The president didn't do anything. So it should be a difficult decision a very difficult decision for him to take.
It's the president who appointed the finance minister.
Sure.
He have assessed the work of the finance minister, and he believed that
He's done well.
He's doing well. Members of parliament and other party people believe that, looking at the way things are going, we believe that if we get a different person to replace the finance minister, it could have been best for us. It depends on the president to take a decision as to who he wants to be in his government at a particular time. Now the president have taken a decision that, look, where we are now, I believe that assessing all of you, you have really performed as expected of me. But I think that for now, set aside and let me bring another people to come and continue the work that you have already doing. So for me, I don't think it is any...
People have questioned his mode of assessment, because if you have somebody like the health minister or one health minister, Akufo-Addo, I mean, he had checked out a long time after the COVID things, Sputnik V, and even how he got to approve those questionable deals. He said he was not thinking properly, and all of that. People thought that, no, these guys should not be in government, replace them. And now look at the fantastic replacement he has in Okoboy. I mean, all these guys were on the sidelines, on the bench, trotting, and you kept this old guy, these guys there, and nothing really was happening.
So at the time that the president kept them, he believed that at that time they will be able to perform.
When it was clear to everybody that they had checked out, they were doing nothing.
It was clear to you, but not the president.
Oh, I see. Then the president is on the ground there.
But
it was clear to everybody, including his own party.
He can decide to maintain them to his term of office.
Yeah, but that would be detrimental to the party. That's how come the general secretary had to speak publicly. And if a person like the general secretary and senior party people are speaking publicly, I mean, commonsensically, it could mean that, or logically, it could mean that they had spoken in private for a long time and it's not working. So they must now come public and say it.
I
don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I believe that the president believed that at the right time.
So this is the right time.
Exactly.
10 months to election.
Yes.
I see.
Even somebody can be reshuffled.
In these days, we have a lot of injury time goals.
People can even somebody can even be brought in even in on the 6th of how do you call it, December. Yes.
In fact, somebody can even be brought on the 7th of December.
Exactly.
The president has on the 7th of January. But that's fine. Let me speak to Nilante. Nilante is having a good time. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yes, you have been in Parliament. A lot of the guys reshuffled in and out. Are members of parliament by the dictates of the constitution. How did the party, your side, minority or NDC, take this reshuffle? Is this something you are happy about? Do you think he shouldn't have done it even in the first because it's too late? Or what really was the thinking of the minority when you saw the list?
Well, thank you very much. Let me say good morning to my brother Eben, and also to all our listeners and also the viewers. Let me say, I, by the grace of God Almighty, have been privileged to have been in government before, and then I've tasted reshuffle. You know, I moved from Deputy Minister for Trade to Deputy Minister for Local Government before I became Substantive Minister for Sports. And in all those situations, my president and the president of the country, John Dramani Mahama, will call you and tell you why he is moving you and what is expected of you. So you have a clear indication as to what you're supposed to be doing and what you have been doing right or wrong in your previous engagement. So let me say reshuffles are done for various reasons. One, which to me is very key, is to challenge the person to give himself the best. Right from appointment, you are given a mandate to serve and to prosecute a particular government agenda in the interest of the people and the service of the people. So the most important thing is for you to understand that you'll be given a job to do in the interest of the nation, the state, and the people. Secondly, reshuffles are done to sometimes fix a particular situation that needed to be fixed. So that, for example, let me say, President Mama called me and said, look, I know you are doing a good job at local government, but we have a situation in sports. I want you to go to sports. A, B, C, D is what I want you to do.
In fact, not to cut you, a lot of us thought that sports was where you were heading to straight right from the outset.
Yeah, but then he thought.
He thought you could
He
do
thought.
some other
Right
things
from day
also.
one, when he chose me to be Deputy Minister for Trade, he told me that I'm the Member of Parliament for Ododo, which is the Central Business District, where trading activity, trade facilitation happens. And he wants me to have that interface with the traders so that we can understand their problems and be able to prosecute their agenda. So, choosing me for a deputy minister at that time was for a purpose. And after I have achieved that, he said, go to local government. From local government, then he called me and said, go to sports. He knew from day one that I could fit well in sports. But there was a reason why he wanted you to go to trade. So, sometimes the appointments are meant to fix a problem. The third one is sometimes what we call the psychological intuition of the country. Sometimes you make the appointment, you do reshuffle and the rest, to be able to bring government in consonance with the feelings of the people, in sync with how the things are moving in the country. So, of these three, I thought right from day one, the president would have had those key issues on his table when he was making appointments. Let me commend him for one thing. He made public from day one, when he was appointing the people, the reasons why he was appointing them, which I thought was a novelty because we haven't really seen that before. The president, after a year or two, should have sat down to carefully, together with his cabinet, and every president I know have advisors outside the mainstream, to see whether the scorecards of the people he had appointed was good, very good, or possibly excellent. If they weren't, then the president, right from there, could have taken certain measures and steps to see how he could reshuffle the, let me say, the pawns on the chessboard in order to be able to win the game. He didn't. Persistent calls from civil society organizations, the clergy, some party faithfuls, the opposition. In fact, as for us, if he didn't listen to us, I wasn't worried because I knew he wasn't going to listen to us in any way. But when the pressure is coming from your own party, some of your council of elders, some of your party supporters, your members of parliament, civil society organizations, these are the key people who are doing day-to-day assessment of your men on the field. And sometimes when you sit at the top, because your interaction is limited to the people who you have chosen to serve you, you don't tend to hear the other side of the story. Let me tell you one innovative thing Professor Mills did. He kept some of us around him, and whenever he picks an issue, he will specifically call you and send you and say, go and investigate it for me. So you bring a report to him. So before he calls that minister, he has an information. You understand? So presidents sometimes should understand that when you're sitting up there, it's not everything that you hear, it's not everything that you see. Sometimes your people who come close to you may not tell you the truth or may not paint the true picture of the situation to you. So it's always better to listen to other people. I think this is what the president did not do right.
He said he's been assessing the people on a daily basis, and he was happy. He was happy with them.
The president is not a repository of knowledge.
But assessing them didn't mean he was doing it himself. Maybe he had a system that did it.
You see, unless the governance system I am used to, I have known, I have stayed in from the time of Jerry Rawlings through to Akufo-Addo, to Mills, to Mahama, is different from the governance system of Nana Akufo-Addo. You understand? Because assessments of ministers and appointees are not only done by your own people. the Bureau of National Investigation, the National Investigation Bureau, NIB now, National Security, and all these people bring CITREPs. You understand? You get information, you are privy to information. Sometimes even issues bordering on performance of ministers are even discussed at cabinet by the whole cabinet because it's a collective responsibility. So the president cannot convince me and say that by his own assessment. Because if you have an assessment, why is it that other members of your team are complaining about the performance of the people? To the extent that even with the case of Akufo-Addo, close to 86 of his members of parliament argued. In fact, the worst was even the outburst of somebody like Samuel Atachia on the performance of Ken, notably from the same family. You understand? So you will have expected that he will, but he came out boldly to say the man is destroying the government. The worst for me was Ajmamenu's issue, where the president said that, oh, he knows the minister is only tired. If the man is tired,
let him go home.
Let him go home. Because he is not a young man, so you should also understand that age may also be a factor against his performance. The president didn't do that. I think right or the president, as I've known him, want to tell people, as he has always been, as a person, I'm the boss. To hell with all of you. That's his normal attitude. He is that officious. He is that person who has an ego. So to hell of all of you. I'm the one who made appointment. I'm the executive president. I can change them when I want to.
Even when it is clear that they are not helping the government
to him,
deliver.
The president, for all you know, Salam, to be all you know, let me be frank with you, those people, contrary to what you and I are saying, may be doing what the president. It's like an inspector at a police station who is always sending people to the roadside. That policeman, that sergeant, or that corporal may not be doing right, may be taking all the money into his pocket. But because he comes and pays his due accounts well to everybody, he may not be doing his work well. But the boss thinks he's doing right. Yeah. That's exactly what I saw about President Akufo-Addo and his appointees. Let me be frank with you. I'm close to some of them. And some of the appointees themselves were very, very frustrated. Let me be frank. The minister, the outgoing minister for local government, for example, was very frustrated. At the time, it was even reported he has tendered in his resignation. You understand?
Frustrated in what way?
A lot of ways. He's had his own battles with the administrator of the District Service Common Fund, for example. He complained to the president. He wanted the president to take an action. The president didn't take the action. For example, we members of parliament in the local government committee complained to us.
But you people didn't support him.
Well,
you supported
because of what the Constitution says. You understand? The Constitution says the administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund is autonomous and independent. You understand?
Yes.
He is not under the direct control of the Minister of Local Government.
Very well. So on the screen is some of the ministers, outgoing ministers, call them the old guards. So we have Ibrahim Mohammed Awal from Tourism, Arts and Culture, Frida Prempe, Sanitation Minister, Lariba Abudu, Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Kuku Friye, Environment, Science, Technology, Joseph Makabu, OT Regional Minister, Ambrose Derry, Interior Minister, Akufo-Addo, Finance, the big one, Kwesi Amoakwata, Roads and Highways, Kweku Ajimamenu, Health, and Damboche, Local Government and Decentralization. So these are the persons who are leaving government, save Ambrose Derry, who has been reassigned to the office of the president as Minister of State in the office of the president. Akufo-Addo, we understand he has some new role, but we don't know that officially. So this is the list of the outgoing people. There are some fresh or new faces also making the list. I mean, the persons like Dakwa Newman, and a few other people. Okuboy, Dr. Okuboy. So we have Titus Glover on the screen, Greater Accra Regional Minister. We'll have some discussion on him. Andre Japamesa, moving from Deputy Energy to Tourism, Arts and Culture. Lydia Sarah Malhassan, Sanitation, Water Resources. Dakwa Newman, Gender, Children and Social Protection. Daniel Makato, OT Regional Minister Designate. Bernard Okuboy, Doctor, Health. Ophelia Mensah Hayford, Environment, Science and Technology. And then Fatima Abubakar, who's been elevated from Deputy Information to Information Minister. So this is the mix generally. Yes, just.
But then let me also say this. Some of us who are political strategists have known that these changes were not really for the functioning of government, but for political reasons, strategic political reasons. Let me be frank with you. The president is privy to national security reports, is privy to, and he knows that a lot of these constituencies are not doing well.
The constituencies of the new people.
Of some of his people not doing too well. And some of his people have lost elections. And as such, why would he keep those people there for them to have, their influence is gone in the constituency. So why don't he bring in new people who may have some little bit of influence that could solve their personalities and their positions in their constituencies? Let me take, for example, the president recently appointed Frida Pempe to the ministry.
A few months ago.
So why would he change her?
Maybe she's not doing well.
No, the only reason why he's changing her because Frida has lost her parliamentary position.
But that should make her focus on the work of government.
So why would he keep her there when there's somebody else who is a parliamentary aspirant and who have the opportunity Frida is having to enhance her chances of winning the seat? You understand the game? Let's take, for example, Lareba. She was just recently appointed, but she lost the primaries. So why, even though she is related to the vice president, why do you keep her there when you could give the position to Eben so that it will soar up Eben's position in the constituency he is fighting for to become a member of parliament? Two, there are some of these people who are already PCs. You understand, like Okuboy, PC. The appointment definitely will give him a bit of a leverage in the contest he's going into. Dakwa Newman, Lydia. The truth of the matter, the president is aware that Lydia is far, far behind John Dumelo at this time as far as the polls are concerned.
Really?
Yes, he's aware. He knows Ejapamesa is having a problem in the constituency. The president is aware that Ophelia is being given the run for her life in Infantiman. The president is aware of that. So some of these appointments are basically tactical moves to be able to soar up the let me say the performance of those PCs in their various constituencies. I heard the regional chairman talking about the fact that 6 people from the region have been given an appointment. Well, to me, we don't have 6 people from the region. We have only 3 from the region being given appointments.
Who are they?
Okuboy, Titus Glover, Henry Quarty.
Okay.
Siriam is an MP in the region.
Slide is a guy.
Okay, slide 4. So 4. He is deputy.
Yeah.
So 4. You understand? That is what from the region. If you are talking about from the region, people from the region, then it is only 4. 3 ministers and 1 deputy. You understand? So sometimes these are the things. Sometimes we people from the region we hear. It worries us. When it steals them, they are from the region. But when it goes against them, no, they are not from the region. So,
but if Sarah Mahassan wins, it's as to the work of the regional chairman.
But she's not from the region.
Yeah, but she's MP in the region. So when we count the constituencies you will win.
No, I don't agree to that. I don't agree.
If you are to lose
the regional chairman, it's work against. I agree that politically, it's the region.
Yeah.
But the person doesn't come from the region. You understand? I would have preferred someone like Eben sitting here from the region is given that position. Then I can say that it adds to what they've given to the region.
No, but I think he's looking at it in the context of seats
That's what I'm saying, but I'm giving a clarification as far as that is concerned. It's a mistake people have been making all the time. I've seen people who are MPs in the region, but attend caucus meetings of other regions because that's where they come from. You understand? But they are MPs in the region. So those things are things that all of us have, and people like us from the region are concerned about it because those people are enjoying to the detriment of the people who come from the region. Oh yes, they are classified as members from the region. They are classified for coming from the region, but in actual fact, their resources and everything they get is transferred to the region across board, and we know, and we think that it must be healed because it's not being fair to the people of the region. So let me say that the council have a problem. They say, do you understand? These people are not going to dance any different abaja from what we have seen. In fact, some of them may even even dance worse than what we have seen in the past because it will take them enough time to be able to get themselves fixed into the situation they find themselves, especially people who don't have any knowledge and background and expertise in the ministries where they are serving. You understand? If, let me say, for example, if someone like Ophelia has been sent to interior, I will find it more accommodating.
That's a 40.
Gender. You understand? I will be much more comfortable. But she's going to a ministry where it will take her time to learn and get used to really what the terms of reference, the mechanisms and the systems in the ministry are. So it's not going to be easy for her. You understand? She's a wonderful person, great human relations, always want to listen. She is not overtly partisan. You understand? Wonderful person. I like her. Titus Grover, fine. I don't have any problem. She's been a member of parliament in the region before. She's played various roles in the political setup in the region before.
So that's Ophelia Hayford is referring.
And so I don't think
she's 50 years, professional security. She's a former police officer, current MP from Fantiman constituency. Previous roles, assistant superintendent of police, Interpol unit, CID. She's done some work there. Education, she has LLB, and she also has a BA in political science and linguistics. Yes.
So you understand what I'm saying? So someone like Titus Glover, fine, I don't have any problem with coming into the region, but if I were him, I would have loved to stay at Valco.
All right, so that's fine. So let's go do that. Let me speak to Franklin. Franklin is one of the persons who have had cause to question why the president was not reshuffling his team. Now this is happening. Franklin, welcome to the program. The president has finally done the reshuffle. People think that it is not actually one to enhance national development, but it's a political or it's a election 2024 move to shore those persons out because, like Dina Tivanapo rightly put it here, some of these people are struggling in their constituencies. Mentions Ophelia Hayford, someone there is giving her a run for her money, Dakwan Newman, and a few other people, Okoboy, so he gets a seat back and all of that. What's your thinking? Too little, too late, good time, will not make any difference, just a political move. What do you think?
Well, good morning, my good friend, and my good friends in the studio as well. I think that what the president should have really done, if this reshuffle was to be impactful, was to have actually reduced the numbers of ministers and realigned and probably merged a few ministries as well. That would have been much more indicative that, look, we are serious and we changing personnel, because to set time with that number, that these new persons, supposedly new persons, are coming to fill roles that would probably last for 3 or 4 months of real work. And that is even if they even do the work at all, because elections are upon us. I mean, by the time vetting is done, probably in March, they would have probably up until July or August to settle in. Don't forget, almost all the deputy ministers are new, and 6 out of 9 of the ministerial appointees are actually new. So by the time they are actually settling in the job, time over. And these persons are also going to run, are looking to, what's it called? Rather, 6 out of 9, and almost all the deputy ministers are contesting in this election. So I don't know what the grand plan is. I'm not too sure. I don't have expertise in determining whether persons have been brought into the ministry in order to show up their chances of election. That could well be. I don't know that for a fact. But whatever it is, I'm looking at the value addition to the economy, and I see zero. I don't see any value addition. I'm looking at institutional memory, and probably because institutional memory is very important, because these persons are going to hand over anyway. In a couple of months, you're going to have a handover to the next government. So you'd have thought that maybe if you're not going to reduce the numbers, then why don't you maintain the maybe the old guy that was there, but they would have institutional memory, and ministers could be called back anyway when they're having handing over, when they're doing handing over notes as well. But I still think that the purpose for which this reshuffle was done is really has no impact, no effect at all, except of course what my good brother, senior brother Nilante suggests, that for some of them, because their political fortunes are dwindling, then maybe they will be given some visibility. However, that also may look, I don't know whether just being seen as a minister would change someone's mind from voting for you or not. Except of course they are sharing freebies. Freebies, I'm not too sure they are going to find any, since we are broke. But having said that, I thought that the finance minister's one was particularly interesting, because he was the only one that came with some. Well, it came much later after the pressure that suggested that these persons were going to be changed or some were going to be sacked anyway. Which is that the finance minister is now being paid for a particularly interesting role as an advisor, senior advisor on the economy, which is very good, I think, because the good thing about failure is that it gives you an opportunity to recommend ways to people who are likely not to go down your path, so that they will not have the presence of experience and wouldn't really go down that path. So I think it was useful to hear that the finance minister would be given a role within the Jubilee House, essentially to advise on economic issues. Well, the other part of that appointment, which I found quite curious, and I'm not saying he's not qualified for it, is that he's also going to be a special envoy, presidential envoy, international investment and capital markets. Now, those two are quite interesting and quite telling. Not because the former finance minister may not be cut for it, because he really is the epitome of capital markets, and then obviously international investment. Don't forget, he wanted to float a $50 billion bond at some point. That's how much voracious or appetite he had for the markets. Whether that was going to impact on our fortunes as an economy or not, he probably wasn't really interested in those ones, because persons who play in the market know very well that you can always borrow against whatever you spend, but not when you are playing a role as a dual role as a private market person and also as a public promoter or protector of the public purse, when you are given that role as a finance minister. And I think that one he failed woefully. But to be given this position now as an advisor,
but is that position official? Of course, we've heard it being said, but we have not seen any communication to that effect. So I'm just wondering if it's official.
It's not, but I don't think it was put in my mouth or put in your head. We saw it, we read it, that was coming from the presidency. Unless the presidency has not denied it. It's been more than 72 hours since this was put up. They've not denied it, and it's only when some of us started making deductions that some people closer to government were like, "Oh, but why? How am I saying that?" And I said, "Well, you leave me to make this crude analogy or crude deduction, because that rule doesn't seem like a split." But I'm not a schmuck. I'm not stupid. I'm not an idiot. I see when you say that somebody who has had this expertise in private markets and ran international development, investment, and all of that, is being asked to be an envoy on that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you now will actually have a lot more power, because then whatever investments you're going to we were going to negotiate as a government, he would have a say. He would have a say in it. You go to the capital market at some point or not to go. If this government should have traveled more than a year or two, he probably would still have a say in it. It looks to me that is a much more interesting and sumptuous role than being a minister for finance, where people will be sorting you if you did the ABCD. I mean, who doesn't like peace? So I'd rather be sitting there cooler and then making sure, like a grandmaster, like the Godfather, I decide what goes into the decision.
I see.
Yeah.
So Nilati makes a point about Ophelia Hayford, for example, going to environment and science and technology and all of that. That if she was going to interior, which is where we think her strength is because she's been a former police officer, that would have been good. She would have entered the ministry to hit the ground running. But now she's going to environment, science and technology, now going to understudy. You think that's an important point to make? So Okoboy, for example, he is a medical doctor, NHIA boss, former deputy health minister. He goes into the ministry with some understanding of what the ministry is about. Hits the ground running, and then things happen. A few other persons, are like that. You think the president should have considered their areas of expertise, especially given that it's a last-minute reshuffle, so that the people are able to hit the ground running right from day one? Or you think the way he's done it is in line with other reshuffles done in the past, so that's fine?
I probably don't want to be brought into those conversations even at all. Because what I'm actually saying, suggesting is that even if they were competent to do whatever they're going to do, what is the impact within 3, 4, 5 months? What exactly would they be doing? They'd rather be distracted because these persons are going to run for the next election. So they're already thinking how I'm going to retain my seat. It probably would have been wiser to have left the old guard there in any way so that they would have just run their term.
But frankly, we call for reshuffle. The man eventually has run the reshuffle.
Good, but you're asking for there are two things about reshuffle. The first one I said was, at this critical juncture, what you should have done is to reduce the numbers, not necessarily replace them. And I'm saying that the timing of this reshuffle is important. Whether people pay for it, ask for it, we called for it 3, 4 years ago, not now. And now that you are doing it, you are basically replacing people. You say, I don't even want to get into those conversations about a new lease of life. They are not going to run 100-meter races of those ministries, are they? If they were, then maybe I would have thought that someone like the interior minister, I saw him doing the boogie dance, doing dancing to Bob Marley and all that. He would have probably been better off running faster than my good friend, the current man who has been penned down for interior minister. You think the two people running a 100-meter race would have won? So it's not about running races. Going to run races, which we say new lease of life. New lease of life maybe 3, 4 years ago, in addition to their competence. But right now, yes, he's placated us by saying, I've given you, then you are complaining again. It leaves us for us to also make the deductions that ask what value to the economy. Really, 4 or 5 months of maybe settling in, nothing will really change, really. I mean, so it doesn't really cut it for me.
I see.
If you had reduced the numbers, they would have said, okay, now this man gets it. Because reshuffle is not just changing personnel. It also means a root and stem approach, which is what we've been calling for a very long time. And by the way, as the vice president has indicated is going to do 50, maybe if the president had been charitable and probably dislodged a ministry like railway, done a few realignments along, I don't know, met a few things, you'd have said, okay, now people will start saying that, okay, well, looks like the two of them are really talking. In any case, the vice president has his own vision. But going forward, we'd like to see what constitutes that 50 ministers, what exactly will constitute that, including John Mohammed 60, including Alan said, I think 40. Right? Okay, so we'd like to see all of those. Not just come and give us numbers like Lotto number. We want to see, where we are right now, we are at an economic war. It's not now that you're coming to start telling us all sort of things. So the president here, he's lame duck, he's a goner. He'd have probably added something to his jewel legacy if he had actually reduced the numbers. But right now, there's nothing that I can be proud of.
I see. All right, great. So, Honorable Ebenezer Nati. So, a few things have been said, including what Milante said about people who lost their seats. Being made to leave as well. If you look at the list, carefully, it does appear that there's some merit in that argument. So, for example, in the outgoing ministers, 13 of them were listed. About 5, or a few of them retained or got reassigned. 10 of them leaving entirely, no reassignment, they've been sacked. 7 of them are MPs. And then 5 not going back to Parliament. So those 5 not going back to Parliament from the 7, that's quite a huge number. So it does appear that, like, those who lost their primaries or not going back to Parliament, there's no point in keeping them in government. And things like that. Look at the deputies who were sacked. About 9 of them were sacked. 5 of them lost their primaries, and then 2 of them are not going back to Parliament. They do not want to go to Parliament again, Benito Wusubio and co. So it does appear that if you are no more going back to Parliament, the president doesn't see any use for you again in the executive. Is that the impression the president is creating?
I don't think so.
But that's how the list appears.
We have 2 ministers who, one lost, one decided not to contest again. They are still at post. The minister for Ifia, yes, he's still at post. Obiamwa is still at post. They are not being removed. So does it also mean that?
But this could be outliers. If you look at the numbers,
it doesn't matter. If we are using that as a yardstick, it doesn't matter because some are still in the system and others have been taken out. So I don't think that is a yardstick as which the president.
No, but it's rich. Really,
I don't think so.
The way the list is.
I personally don't. That's a perception of people. That's maybe how people will see it. But for me,
no. But is it not? Doesn't it make sense to say that the person has lost his seat? It's the person's relevance.
Let me give you an example.
After
the 2020 election, it was said that those any member of parliament
that lost the seat didn't get ministerial appointment.
Yes. But Ajalima Mahama was sent to the US.
No, but I didn't get a ministerial appointment.
No, it didn't say specifically ministerial appointment.
No, but Okoboy lost his seat.
Yes, but
he didn't go back as deputy minister for health. He got an agency appointment.
He never mentioned that you are not going to get any ministerial appointment. But it was there out there that you are not going to get any.
That's how it became. That's how it appeared. No, those who were ministers or deputies,
yes,
and they lost their seats, did not return to those roles or any other ministerial role. That's what it was. So Okoboy didn't get any ministerial role. He later became NHI boss.
Yes, but Ajalima Mahama was a minister for local government.
She didn't return to the ministry. She went on as an ambassador.
Exactly. So it doesn't mean that if you have lost your position.
We're not talking about. Of course, what's the name? Titus Glover.
Yes.
Lost his seat.
Yes.
But he became.
That's what I'm saying. So you cannot use that as a yardstick that because the person have lost his or a constituency primaries, the president decided not to give him any position. And I've given you an example that there are 2 of them. One lost the primaries. One is not to contest. But the president said that you still be in your position. Honorable Nilante, my senior brother.
I can give you the reasons why. Obiamwa can give you the reason.
So what was the
Honorable Nilante,
you see, Obiamwa is.
you give me the floor.
You
gave him 25 minutes. I checked the time.
For tactical reasons, Obiamwa is the one who is virtually spearheading the party's position at the Electoral Commission.
I see. And if you
yes. Kujo, because of the reforms that is being done under his ministry.
So there are a lot of reforms going there.
Yes.
Then it means he's doing well then.
The public service reforms.
I see.
So it is important that sometimes you look at those situations.
Very well. We'll go for break.
The original list that came up, the Minister of Sports was involved. Then the president was advised.
The
president was advised that because of the upcoming All Africa Games.
Very well.
There's a need for.
Very well. So we'll take a break now, but you continue. But just go ahead.
So it cannot be a yardstick for that. That because the person has lost and the person has been removed from the post. Yet another issue that he raised was the fact that some people were appointed because they are under siege at their various constituencies. So therefore, they are being put there.
So that their chances.
I don't think so. I personally don't think so. Because during their time, 8 years of John Mahama Mills, the health ministry alone have 7 different ministers. 7. The same time, Ministry of Sports alone have 7. In fact, when you add Aruna coming to add to it, it will be 8.
How?
Haruna.
Yes. Aruna came to act as a deputy minister for sports.
Aruna
Jusu.
Deputy minister for sports.
Sorry, minister for youth. No, I said just for our 3 months. You were the last person there.
No.
So 7.
At what point was Haruna sports minister?
Dr. Musta, the
7. At 7, Ministry of Youth and Sports and Health. Are you telling me that because those people were not performing, or those people were going for the election, that's why they were changed? I agree perfectly with you. That's one has been one thing I always talk about it. That when you are sending people to the various ministries, departments, and agencies, it should be people with expertise, which I agree perfectly with you on that. All of us can bear witness that when Okobwe was sent to the Ministry of Health as a deputy minister during the COVID time, we can see the performance of Okobwe. There's no doubt about it. When he's being sent to the Ministry of NHIS, we can see within this short time what he has been able to do at the NHIS, because that is experts, which I agree perfectly with you. And it's something that I always said, look, not only with the NADO, but it should cut across all presidents that we have had. That when we are appointing people to the various departments and agents, especially at the ministry, and we'll be told that, oh no, the technocrats are there. Yeah. But when a person also have a little knowledge about where he or she is being sent to, it also helps. There's no doubt if you, for instance, I can never and ever debate Nilante when it comes to sports issue.
Because that's
you would defeat me 100%. Because I'm not for, yes, in as much that I like football, the information and the details that he has, it's rather unfortunate he's not been supporting my team.
Which is what?
Which on Wednesday we're also going on demonstration.
Which one?
Accra House of Folk.
All right, on that, let's take a short break. We'll come out and continue from there. You continue from there. This is the big issue, 97.3 Citi FM. We just heard Ebenezer Nina Nate, former MP for Abilikuma Central for the MPP. Other guests, Nilante Vanderpoy, MP Ododu, and Franklin Kujo, President in Mani Africa. We'll take a short break. When we return, we will further delve into the subject matter of reshuffle. Don't worry. Welcome back. A very big welcome to our TV viewers as well. This is a big issue on 97.3 Citi FM on Citi TV and also on our socials. My name is Selom Adoni. It's a platform for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. My guest this morning, Ebenezer Nina Nati, former member of Parliament for Abilikuma Central, Nilante Vanderpoy, MP Ododu, Franklin Kujo, President in Mani Africa. We're looking at 2 major issues today. One is the subject of the ministerial reshuffle, too little, too late. What really is the expected impact of the new persons who have been brought in and those who have been reassigned. Others say that it's for election 2020. Others think that no, election 2024, beg your pardon. Others think that no, they have been brought in as fresh limbs to strengthen the team, as it were. What do you think? We'll be happy to hear from you. You can join the discussion via WhatsApp on the lines on the screen. And we'll be happy to share those views with the rest of the world. Also, in the second part of the program, we'll look at Ghana football. This week, a group of sports journalists and football enthusiasts went on demonstration, tagged Save Ghana Football demo, to ask for reforms, to ask that the GFA and its allied institutions in charge of our football do the right things. We will delve into that. Fortunately, Nilante Vanderpoy here is a former sports minister, surely has views on that matter, and a few other people who will be joining us do that. So you're welcome to the show. We'll be happy to hear from you with us throughout the remainder of this program. So the reshuffle occurred. Many had called for it. Some big names became casualties. The finance minister, whose party had called for his reshuffle or his sacking about a year or so ago, where over 90 ministers or 90 members of parliament from his party became a majority caucus decision that he should leave because he was making the government unpopular. Eventually or finally, has been shown the door. But we hear he has another appointed advisor on the economy and capital markets, etc. You know, in his place, Mohamed Amin Anta, or Adam, Minister of State at the same ministry, has been brought in. The Roads and Highways Minister, Kusia Makwata, is also being shown the door. And a few other people, Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Menu is also being sacked to be replaced by the young and energetic Dr. Okobo and a few others. We'll go through a list as the program grows. But Nina Nete was on the floor. But what do you make of the fact that the new people coming in, averagely are very, very young, apart from Titus Global, who is a bit advanced in age? The rest of them are quite young. Dakwa Newman, around 38 years. What's the name? Okoboy, just around 42 years. And a few other people. Fatima Abubakar, also around 38 years. And I mean, Japan Mesa, just around 50. And the whole lot. They look very young. Is there any particular reason for that?
Yeah, I think that for me, we have gotten to a stage that in this our politics that we are doing, the young are the people who are taking over from the old people, and looking at the people that the president have nominated as ministers and deputy ministers and their age brackets, it brings some sort of a strong energy and also brings some sort of vibrance at the various ministries and that they are going to be. When you look at Titus, Greater Accra, all of us can bear witness of the work that Honorable Henry Korte have done. And these are, let me say, two parties. And for me, I know that wherever Honorable Henry Korte and whatever things that he has done in Greater Accra, definitely Titus is going to continue from there. I know the support Honorable Nilan Tevanapo gave to Henry Korte as a regional minister. Not only him, but even NDC members of parliament in Greater Accra, irrespective of their political affiliation, they really supported him. One example is my own constituency, when they are removing these Union Market people from there. I know the role that he played in it. I know definitely when Titus took over, and I know sometimes he played the tribal politics as well. So
how?
And you
But
in his submission, by his submission or so it tells you that he tells you that he have Greater Accra at heart, irrespective of the political party.
Yes.
Because this is his region. He can't go and claim Eastern region or Ashanti region, and the same applies to me as well. Because if Greater Accra is good, it's good for us.
Yeah.
Because definitely, if care is not taken, but if Greater Accra is not good, before you come to your house, you are picking your bag, you have gone to the Volta region.
Yes.
Tell me if I'm lying.
No, that's a fact. Yes. You go to your home first.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is your home.
Exactly. So definitely, I know Titus is going to perform very well in Greater Accra, and will have the support of all of us. Ejam Pamesa going to tourism. Awa is not a member of parliament. Neither is he going to contest for any election. But the president thinks that yes, give way for a new person.
He has been very poor. Very, very poor.
Yeah,
very, very poor. What impact has it
So when you get to your point.
Okay, so
then Ejapa, my senior brother is saying that it's because it's under siege in his constituency.
Oh yes.
So therefore he has been given. But where Ejapa was, Ministry of Energy, compared to the Ministry of Tourism,
he was a deputy minister.
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
So in terms of what? Resources?
If it's about resources,
but
at least for nothing at all. At least for nothing at all. He will get street light to go and face in his constituency. Now, tourism. What is he going to take to his constituency? It's not about that. Lydia Sarah Malasa. He said,
he can still get a street
He said, what is his name? John Dumelo. I'm surprised Nlante is saying that.
Why? John Dumelo
is nowhere to be found in Ayaso Central.
Huh?
I also
West Ghana.
Really?
Oh yes.
Eben,
I'm telling you.
Are you in Ghana?
Oh,
the students like your president.
The Lagos students appear to be in love with him.
The Lagos students.
Yes.
Which of them?
The Legon student, the campus, the University of Ghana campus.
Then you have to
the two of us just left the campus. We can tell you the feeling on the campus.
They love him.
I'm at Gimpa.
Okay.
And I know the impact Lydia is putting at Gimpa and Legon as well.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Just go to Legon and Gimpa and go and find out. Really? Just go to your NES, the one GIJ NES. Just go and look at the impact Lydia is putting there. So for me, I don't think
Lydia, no doubt, is a strong candidate. She's very personable. She's very active.
It is not about Afro John is knows that it's a stronghold of the MPP, Okankwe South. So if by assessment of that, I don't think that the president have appointed Lydia because she's an seat at Okankwe South constituency. It's not possible.
You mean Dakwan?
Dakwan Nima. So for me, I believe that the president is looking at sending young people. You see, what was Adjo's age when he went to that ministry? It would have not been what she was doing. I can tell you, Adjo could have been one of the best gender ministers that we have ever had. Because since this ministry was created, apart from Nana Oyelita, who was also young at that time, most of the time
Nana Oyelita was not young. She was effective. Because she wasn't young necessarily.
No, at that time she would not be around 60. She's in her 50s.
Yeah, but she wasn't necessarily young, but she was effective.
But at the end of the day, she even sacked her own deputy.
But that's
so the deputies are chosen at the discretion
the president
of the minister.
But the deputy came and said that because
you are playing politics.
I'm not playing politics.
Just go ahead.
So then when we come to Dakwan, as I'm saying, very perfect. Looking at her background, I believe strongly.
What's her background? She's just fresh from school. Is that not the case? I mean, this is a project manager.
Are you using that one? Are you using that one? Because I can give you about 5.
No, you said looking at her background. And
yes, it doesn't matter the number of years.
And I'm asking, I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
I'm just asking what
it doesn't matter the number of years that you have been out of school. Somebody was in school and was given a deputy minister position, but he performed.
No, I'm saying that no doubt about that. Yes. I'm saying that I do not know.
So your background,
you mentioned it,
your background does not necessarily mean the number of years you have worked.
I know that, and you mentioned it. I was not going to ask any question. You mentioned it, and I said, okay, I'm curious. What's the background? Because she's been in parliament. I know she's young. You know, she's just from school, did a few things.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering what she brings to the table.
She's a project manager. So most of the things that she has learned and experience within 3 years.
Project management mindset or approach to deal with the problems.
And but when you go to the ministry, what
that's right.
Then it comes to my own brother and friend, Okuboy, Health Ministry. I sat in Parliament 4 years with Oku, and I can tell that when it comes to health matters on the floor of Parliament, I envy him because he and Zenato, these two people, to be honest.
So that's Okuboy.
Just as
on your screen.
Just as Honorable
He's 42 years, a medical doctor by profession, current position NHI boss. Is a parliamentary candidate for Lejokuku, former MP for that area as well. Former board chairman of Kolebu Teaching Hospital. That was a big one because he was very young when he was made board chair of Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Very, very difficult role, but I think he did his part there. Former deputy minister as well, and he's a doctor, so he has human biology and medicine surgery from KNUST. He has some MP, he has MPA from Hamburg School of Applied Science. I think he has another degree again somewhere. But thoroughly well educated, very intelligent young man, very energetic, very, very articulate. And it's interesting that, of course, he'll be deputized by one Alexander Akufo-Addo, who is also a health guy, and also a former media person, very articulate. So it appears that the health ministry, if they are not sorted, then that'll be a problem because they have two of the very best there, and they are very articulate, understand media as well.
And if Kwesiakwa joined the President Kufuor's administration, also worked at NHI, as their, I think their first PR.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That
so when you look at Okuboy, it's not because he wants or is going to win.
No, but obviously this will show up his chances of winning the Okuboy.
That's what I'm telling you.
This will show up
in terms of what? In terms of what?
He won't win.
I see.
Let me tell you.
You can't beat
Oko, after have lost the seat, He's really working in that constituency, and you know about it.
I know.
He's doing everything possible, not because of his interest to become a member of parliament, but he believed that this is where I was brought up. Whatever I have, this is where I got it from. Let me give it back to the people of Lojokuku. And you can check that, look, apart from the actual threat, he's lobbying for road, he's doing everything in that constituency. It's not because of that. And even the constituency themselves are even bearing witness of it. That look, in as much that you are not a member of parliament, you are still doing what you are supposed to do. And looking at this background, perfect.
Let's talk about Titus Glover, very important person in the scheme of things, and stepping into a big shoe. Henry Quartey appears to be one of the very successful regional ministers in this administration. I know some people are not happy, obviously, that's what it is. But for those of us sitting behind and watching and calling for change and all of that, we think that he's been very effective. The way he drove the Great Accra thing and all of that, he might not have been very successful, but we have Titus Glover now, Daniel Ni Quartey Titus Glover on the screen now, 57, administrator, HR practitioner, current position, VALCO, managing director, previously MP for Tema East, he's called the MP3, deputy transport minister. He was in Warwick, he was also at the University of Cape Coast. He's stepping into the shoes of Henry Quartey. How do you hope he does it? Henry Quartey, put himself and his weight, literally, behind the things he did, made sure things moved. So when he's moving with everybody, and his body mass, everything maybe helped. How should he do it? How should Nilante, what's the name? Titus Glover, do the job? Should he depart? Should he use the same approach? Even though there are different personalities, how should he do it? The sanitation of the region and all of that. How should Titus Glover handle that position?
There will not be any difference between Titus and Henry.
No, but they have different personalities. And
they are different personalities, but there will not be any difference when it comes to the job.
So the Great Accra must work and all of that will continue?
I'm very...
because
let me tell you, most of the work that Henry was doing is in the support of members of parliament for both sides, former members of parliament, former ministers in Greater Accra.
Yeah, so that is also...
In fact, he even involved former mayors.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That it had to do with the personality of Henry Quartey. And so maybe he's a guy who is a team player. He carries everybody along.
Everybody in the party knows very well that Titus and Henry, there's no difference.
I see.
When you see Titus, you see Henry. Most of the thing, I have been to Henry Quartey's office on several occasions. That's sitting down with Titus way back.
Oh, I see.
As to what we are going to do in Greater. That's what I'm saying. Most of the things Henry is doing, he do it in consultation of the indigents in Greater Accra, irrespective of your political affiliation, irrespective of where you are coming from. He believed that Greater Accra should be owned by us. And therefore, whatever you have on board that you can able to help, you try to bring it on board for us. So I believe strongly that Titus is just going to build on a solid foundation being built by Henry Quartey. And definitely, I know Henry is not going to leave Titus because all of us.
So Henry is going to focus on interior, very difficult.
But he's not going to leave him because we all believe that Greater Accra
is where you come from. Very well.
When it comes to interior.
Let me deal with Nilante on Henry Quartey and Titus Glover. You guys are colleagues. What do you think the approach should be?
Well, just like Eben said, I don't think Titus should differ or, let me say, move away essentially from the strategy that Henry used. Eben was accurate in that the two of them are very good friends. In fact, they are not only friends, they are family. So it becomes very obvious that he will want to walk in the steps of his brother and try as much as possible to maintain the status quo. Henry wedged a very good working relationship with the stakeholders in the region. And I think that in all those situations, he had a sort of, let me say, reliable advice from his senior brother, Titus. And so I expect Titus, And let me also say this. Titus, for some time now, I've seen him the way he does his politics, everything has changed. From that abrasive, from that fanatical stand to a much more friendly, consultative, and and let me say, I don't think he will have any problem getting close to us, those of us, the stakeholders in the region, so that we can keep the same relationship we had with Henry, with him. I think that's the only way he can also be successful. But then we also are conscious of the fact that the two of them, the appointments have political, undertones. And so we, on the other side, are also being very, very...
What do you mean by political undertones?
Oh, that one I won't say it here. I'm a political strategist, and I know what...
Because Henry Court is moving to Interior?
Yes.
But
Titus is coming to Greater Accra.
What does that mean? Titus is advanced.
Greater Accra decides the elections.
Yes, but what will Titus do? If the people in the region economically are not happy, what can
Titus that's why I'm saying that I know.
Because he's an organizer?
Fine, you can take it that way. I know. So we also definitely, even though we want to assist Titus.
You withhold your assistance more.
No, we'll assist. Even though we assist him to make the region
you assist with
functional,
one eye closed.
To make the region functional, we'll keep our eyes very open on every activity he does in the region. You understand? We will not allow him to have that political advantage in the region. Never. He will never have it. The region is ours.
What political advantage can he have?
The regional minister can play a very, very good role in changing the political fortunes in the region.
How? Give me an example.
His relationship is key. Yes. Relationship with the people in the region is key. How he embarks on his policies, how he embarks on his, let me say, deliverables that expected of him as a regional minister is also key. We know that they are keen on changing the fortunes of the party in the region. We also are conscious of the fact that this region holds a strong wave as far as the political end is concerned. And as such, we will also become much more aggressive in making sure that we maintain our strength, maintain our stronghold, our stranglehold on the region. We are not going to let it go. We're going to, in fact, our desire is to perform better than we did in 2020 in the Greater Accra region. Because the people in the Greater Accra region are those who are feeling the brunt of the wicked policies of the government. Yes, the people in the region, every policy decision of every government affects the people in the capital more than any other place. And is what I'm saying is generic. It's everywhere. And as such, the people in the region, having gone through these, let me say, draconian measures of the government, this wicked, this uncaring measures of the government over the period, have already maintained a certain level of apathy towards governments today.
And you think Titus Global, if you
only
guys
do
not check him, could revive the interest of the people in the region in the government?
He could.
He has what it takes to do that.
Yes, I've known him for some time. He's a good communicator. He has a very, let me say, when it comes to issues about Greater Accra, he has a way of letting you feel that this somebody who is from the region, understands the region, and want to do something in the region.
I see.
And I'm happy that I'm still sitting here today, still as the leader of the Greater Accra Caucus in Parliament. And so I'm also conscious of what their intentions are as far as the Greater Accra is concerned. I'm also conscious of what he is capable of doing in the region. I'm conscious of what Henry, as a brother, as a friend, is capable of doing in the region. And all those things will factor. Because Interior is basically Accra. It's Greater Accra. Interior is basically Greater Accra. Yes, most of the issues when it comes to issue of maintaining national security and all those things are issues about Accra. So what we want to say is that we know their appointments are strategic. And as such, we are also going to make sure that we're not going to do anything to frustrate his work as a regional minister, because ultimately, we, the people in the region, stand to benefit from whatever he does in the region. But I'm saying it will be to that level, but not to have any political advantage in the region. 2, let me say this. Frankie Kujo raised a very sensitive issue, and most of us have not averted ourselves to that issue. The president had opportunity of listening and being sentimental to the echoes that are coming from the general public as far as ministerial appointments are concerned. And if I were him, I would have even done what other presidential aspirants have said they would do, by cutting down the number and trying to realign some of the ministries. Because to me, sitting down here, I don't see why we should have water and sanitation when we still have local government. Because sanitation is a local government function. All over the world. All over the world, it's a local government.
Because of the focus you need to give to, because of the badness of our situation.
The situation has become worse because of the fact that you don't really know. The government really don't know who is in charge of what when it comes to the issue of sanitation.
Really?
I'm telling you.
When is a
It
sanitation
became an issue
ministry?
in Parliament on Thursday. We all talk about it in Parliament. Water, the provision of basic water. It used to be a local government function through the delivery of boreholes and the rest in rural communities. Now it's off. People in certain parts of the northern region are not getting water at all. But you see, when it's a local government function, because local governance has a direct relationship with the people, their problems become directly the problem of local government. Because if the DCE doesn't deliver the water, the people go directly to him. But now, the minister is in Accra, in charge of water and sanitation is in Accra. So when the problem is on down there, the person there doesn't feel responsible for it. Sorry. So, I would have taken advantage to merge and reduce the number. So many other ministries, he could have done that. But he didn't. Now he's brought people in. Do you know what he's going to do at the end of it all? Cost of government is going to go high.
How?
Oh, yes. For example, some people were not ministers at all. They are not MPs too, and they've been appointed. Those people should be in line for ex gratia.
Yeah, but ex gratia is not prorated. Doesn't it depend on the number of months you have served?
That's what I'm saying.
So if the guys are off, the remainder of what they would have taken home will now be given to these people.
No, you see, but if the person is an MP, if a person is an MP, because he's being a member of parliament, he wouldn't get anything too different. But if the person is not an MP, he wasn't a minister, and it's coming fresh. For example,
how many of them?
Even if it is one, even if it is one, no, I'm just.
There's only one person. The OT.
I'm
the
saying
OT
yes,
and also replacing another non-minister.
What I'm saying,
it's also not an MP.
Listen, what I'm saying is that, like Frankie Kujo said, you had opportunity to reduce the number in order to save costs.
Yeah,
you did it.
Yes.
So at the end of it all, even if one city comes on, it's addition to cost.
No, but there's not going to be any one city.
Because
the
will be.
OT regional minister is not a member of parliament.
Listen,
the one coming to replace him is also not a member of parliament. But the rest of the people, Fati is not a member of parliament. As a deputy minister.
She was a deputy minister. Now she's got a promotion.
Exactly. But they ask you,
there is a marginal.
But you and I know the difference between a ministers and a deputies.
Even if it is one city, even if it is one city, it's addition to
a member of parliament who is a deputy minister or a minister. You and I know that their salary is very small.
And even finance, Minister of State, there's a small increase there.
No, Minister of State and the minister, the finance minister,
they are different. No, there's difference.
But I thought the finance minister is a bit higher than the minister of State.
But yes, and even
so small. He said even it's just one city.
It's addition to cost.
It's addition
to cost.
No, there's no any addition to cost. None of them.
What are you saying?
Oh, no, you know.
Let me,
the Minister of Finance.
Let's conclude. Let me talk to Franklin. Yes.
Yeah, the Minister of Finance, for example, is going to still be in government.
It's not true.
Oh, who said?
No, but that
there has not been an official statement.
But that role, he won't get ex gratia.
Who said?
The advisor role.
No.
Who said?
Where? No, but I see there are some appointments which are not officially communicated. Like Osafo Mafu, for example.
Yes, it was
as senior advisor. He announced it himself.
No, but you see,
at a meeting,
do you know Honorable Nilan Tevanapo has been appointed Jomama's running mate? Do you know?
Oh, no, I don't know that.
So you,
That's not true. But there are different
that's
things.
what this is what I said.
No, there are different issues. There are different matters.
So look, what I'm saying
Is that a prophecy you are making? Is that a prophecy?
Won't you be happy
Because
that
they're not sound, they're not sound, you know, because you are flattering him, so his thoughts are being disorganized.
won't you be happy that your brother is a vice president?
Of course.
I'm on Offerata, for example. Look, that position is going to hold. Is going to render Aminata virtually impotent. You understand? This is somebody who is virtually was picked by Ken Offerata to be his Minister of State. You understand? He's coming in. For Ken Offerata is going to stay in the shadow again, be the economic advisor of the president. And we know the relationship between him and the president. And the president has reluctantly shifted him to this situation. So Aminata will still be at the beck and call, and even the vice president was behaving like a messenger to Ken Offerata. How much more?
I'm not sure about that.
But he used to carry the ministers back to parliament.
Not carry. He used to support him. He would come and support him to read the budget, which was nice, was it not?
Have you seen him carrying the ministers?
No, he will not carry them back.
He comes and sit down
to listen to
and
him,
and
it was
nod
nice.
the head like a lizard.
I beg you.
No,
but he came to parliament, which the constitution allows him to do, to listen to the finance minister.
But should it be always?
And give him a hug. But it's not always. When was the last time he came there? He didn't come the last time. 2 years ago, he didn't come.
Because he didn't come. 2 years ago he came. It was also last year he didn't come.
Last year he
didn't come because he was campaigning.
No.
All right. Let me talk to Franklin. Franklin, talk to me about Dr. Mohamed Amin Ante's role. Now finance minister. He's been there as Minister of State. Is one person whose competence is not in doubt. He's done quite a lot. He's grown through the ranks, being Nook's president, being mayor of Tamale, being deputy minister for energy. Before that, he did ASEP, which was in your space, civil society space. His group ASEP is doing so well. Now was pushed to finance as Minister of State. Now taking the ultimate in that arena, Minister for Finance. People have said that there's not much he can do because it appears the mold is being cast for him. He only has to play within that. Talk to me about his personal attributes and how that can help change anything, if anything can change at all. And also, I wouldn't call it the hoovering, but the hoovering presence of Ken Offerata, his former boss, around his job.
Okay, so we're having this conversation within the construct that nothing significant will change anyway, right?
Okay.
So if we want to talk about personal attributes, we can't quarrel with Amin Ante's attributes at all. Personal attributes. I think he's an excellent gentleman, and I think the combination of petroleum economics and economics itself is a wonderful pair to be at the ministry, because these two alone can actually make you then understand exactly how revenues. Revenue management should be done when in terms of revenue from the petroleum sector and its usage or its application as well. So he has both competences in terms of exacting revenues and possibly using them wisely. But of course, he would operate within a much broader system of government. So it's not everything he says that will be listened to anyway. But to have these competences are really, really wonderful, and they are good. So those personal attributes are wonderful. I think it is also important to state that right now, we are clutching our straws, basically. We are broke. I know for a fact that the ministry is looking for ways in order to match up revenues with the expenditure. Again, coming back to the same thing, Nanado had cut back a lot more, not just in terms of personnel, but even from the office of government machinery, where he has over 1,047 people working. If a particular entity like the communications have up close to 14 people are communication assistants, if you have done that type of cutting, then maybe the likes of Amin Anta will not be struggling to look out for where we'll get excess money. Because trust me, it's one of the things you'll be thinking about right now. I know that for a fact. Because I had conversations with people at the ministry 2 weeks ago, and I know that they are interested in that. Actually, the reason why you saw the VAT thing on electricity go up was because there was nothing else to look for in terms of raising money. So they decided that they suggested that they'll push this to the Ghanaians. And of course, obviously, they were oblivious of the fact that the politics of taxes as well. And so that was the challenge. So Amin Antar's role right now may, in fact, if he had had this role probably 2 years ago, what I know he would have done was to have taken a fine scale and then look out for areas he can cut back, because that's where his expertise lies, really. And then probably generate a lot more revenue from our petroleum sector. He could have reordered a few other things within the petroleum sector, and then things would have changed drastically. That I know for sure. What I'm saying is that right now, as the meat has been eating the what's it called? Is it the bones? Major Mohammed's famous quote. The meat
and the bone is just left with the bone.
Actually, now the bone is even now.
It goes to the marrow. It goes to the marrow of the bone.
It's gone to the marrow of the bones, and it's probably decomposing right now. So there's really nothing Amin can do right now in terms of raising revenue, raising more money. Maybe Ken's role as the national investment ambassador, may be looking out for a lot more climate finance, which is one of the things that currently I know very well that the ministry is looking at doing, and we are aware of that climate finance is the new game in town when it comes to development. And so maybe Ken's role may be useful there, but again, the issue about control, maybe let's leave that for now. But I'm saying that as we speak, until there's some real magical thing that happened in the world of finance for us, there isn't much Amin can do. He's rather looking for ways to raise excess money in order to fund the government projects, especially in 2024. So those are the issues I think he'll be contended. Those are the issues before him right now. But as a human being, personally, his personal attributes of being respectful and all of that, those are very good attributes. But of course, he's also qualified for it as well. So there are no two ways about Amin on that.
Buttressing what you've said, he's mentioned that he'll be aggressive in revenue mobilization. So we shouldn't be surprised when we see him visiting the revenue mobilization agencies, etc. But what can he do in that respect? We've always said that we need to broaden the tax net in order to get more people in and get more revenue, etc., etc. What can he do in that respect? Because if he can't do much, what he can do is to mobilize revenue or resources, which he has admitted he will do. How can he do that? What new strategies should he employ?
Actually, two things. One very sensible thing Amin should do, and I know he's going to have a lot of pushback, is to look out for these 12.5 billion Citi exemptions that have been calculated in the budget. Those exemptions are crookish. I don't believe in them. They are political arrangement, chronic capitalist arrangement, favor political favorites doing business. He should take a fine scale, go through it carefully, and reduce that drastically by 70%. If America can achieve that, he wouldn't have a deficit of raising revenue out to 11 billion and be looking at giving 12.5 billion. Why do you give whose value to the economy are not even clear, they've not been calculated, we don't know that value, except to say, as the NDC has suggested, these are political favorites. And I think I've seen a few of them. They are definitely political cronies. They are not business, they are not going to return any value to the economy. One of the things Amin could do is to look at those exemptions regime and reduce them by 70%. If he does that, actually the only problem is that if he does that, it may all go back into the elections. And that's what I fear. So, but the point also ought to be made that he'd have stamped his authority on, saving us a lot of money. The second point, which I think I heard Mr. Dr. Chuahini eloquently discuss on your network with Bernard, is to look out for this remittances stuff. Well, it may be a bit difficult, but the remittances coming in, apparently there are middlemen who may be Ghanaian businesses as well as foreign businesses, who then take the money and give us hold the dollars or forex and give us the Citi equivalent. I'm a bit ambivalent as to how that would work, though, except to say that they make a little margin more. So maybe we should look at those margins. But in terms of giving people the equivalence of, I think it's a business strategy. It's not because people really need to get those forex directly. I think it's a business strategy. But the one thing Chuahini said, which I suspect makes a lot of sense is to look out for those excess margin that will be earned as a result of this particular remittances portfolios that we are dealing with. So you can look at that. But the number one right now, injury time thing he can actually do, can do, is to go back and look out for these exemptions again. Because once he's able to do that, that's a lot of money being saved for the country from these so-called entities that are supposed to be returning value to the economy, but actually can't be seen or calculated. We need to know that. It's very important. So on the question about revenues, if there's anything he can do right now, he shouldn't even bother going himself visiting all these agencies looking for money. You should just look at the what's it called? You should actually focus on all the companies that have been listed to receive these exemptions, and actually go look at them carefully, and then see the operations and exact the amount that we want to extract from them. I think that would be very useful for us.
Very well. Just a final one, very small point. It's been a while since we had a proper economist lead or head the finance ministry. Ken is an investment banker. Sektekwe is or was a tax person and an accountant and all of that. So Dufour was an economist. Akutose was. Banredu was not. He was an accountant. Safumafo, engineer, economist. Prepra, economist. I think Kwesi consummate economist. Doesn't matter really the background or the experience, the academic expertise, economist, banker, whatever. Doesn't matter. Does his being a proper economist add anything to what a person can do as a finance minister?
Well, maybe yes, but in our construct, I think that because the minister works with a lot of people who are actually adept at what they do, economists and with accountants and what have you, probably not much. I would think that what you are trying to suggest is that, well, when it comes to development, how to bring the pie together. Someone who has a degree in economics and would understand pretty much the issues about needs and wants, and so would decide exactly what the country wants, rather than what the country needs, rather than what the country would want. In that regard, I can understand that if you have a degree in that, but that should be commonsensical anyway. I don't think it comes pretty much as to the degree you hold in economics. As long as you can understand numbers, which the former finance minister actually understood. I think the former finance minister, what went wrong for him was that he believed in capital markets, and he thinks that he has a mindset, borrow against debt and pay, which is factor of GDP to the economy if I took a decision like doing one village, one dam. This is basic common sense. You don't go and dig pits, dig potholes, and call them dams, and then they get dried. You don't staff the Office of Government Machinery with 1,047 persons, with 14 or 16 of them doing the same work, running around passive-aggressive behavior, doing nothing. When you can actually do just about 400 or probably 300 people at that whole office, right? This is commonsensical. When the finance minister took office, we wrote a paper. Imani wrote a paper for fighting corruption and wasters at the presidency. Look for it. We were looking at the Office of Government Machinery and said, if this government was intended to fight corruption, they should start at the office. Because then, if they did that, they would have rationalized the personnel there and they would have realized $50 million immediately. We did those calculations. They are published. But of course, we are not the ones running affairs. We wouldn't have even needed an OSP who will come after the fact, after chasing politicians who may have stashed a lot of money, who would have deep pockets, who can fight them in the courts and they will never win. Right? So a short answer to the question you asked is a bit of economics will matter, but in our current state of things, a lot of common sense is what you really need, not a degree in economics. What you need is a lot of common sense. Right? That's what you need. So don't go giving 12.5 billion. If he was party to that budget, I suspect he was, then he should walk back and go back and look at the exemptions he's giving do a calculation, because I know he has prowess in doing that, value for money analysis, and ask himself, Charlie, these 12.5 billion tax exemptions we are giving, especially when we've cried several times in this country that tax exemptions don't add anything to your economy. Why don't you go back and look and say that, okay, I was part of this budget, but in trying to raise revenue, I'm going to look back at it again and see how to at least balance the budget. 11 billion you're expecting in revenue, you can't be giving 2.5 billion cities away in tax exemptions. That's not the degree. That's not what a degree in economics tells me. It tells me that you have a degree in common sense. That's all.
I see. All right. So thanks so much, Franklin. We'll take a short break and then we will switch topics. We'll have Jerome Ochiri, sports journalist, joining the discussion on what we can do to save Ghana football flowing on the, from that demonstration that some sports enthusiasts and journalists held on Valentine's Day. Yeah.
See, all that Franklin said, it's clear. That's what we are talking about. Amin Anta has been part of the system. The man has been part of the people who have broken the record.
But he wears a different hat now.
And the same system is there. All these tax waivers and all this is talking about. He's the one who comes to parliament and presents the bills. You understand? This is the situation you find himself. He is not going to sing any song different from the chorus that people have sung.
No, like Barmia is trying to state that he has his own vision. In respect of the finance ministry,
don't even go to Baulaya.
In respect of the finance ministry,
as for him,
he could also have his
all
own
the
vision.
things he said are just con things to say in order to win votes. Practically, he has been the one who has put us in the sort of pit we are in. Not even an Addo. He is the one who has put us in that pit.
Very well. So let me know open a Pandora's box.
Now, Baumia is a target.
No.
Because
let me know open that Pandora's box. I want to take a break and we want to do sports. All right, so we'll take a short break. When we come back, we will do Save Ghana Football demo and what options exist for Ghana football. Jerome Ochiri, sports journalist, joins the panel. Don't go away. You're welcome back to the big issue on 97.3 Citi FM and on Citi TV and our socials as well. My name is Akufo-Addo. My guests for this segment of the program remain Ibnizanina Nete, former MP, Able Kuma Central, Neil Lante Vanderpoel, former sports minister, member of parliament for Odo, Franklin Kudjo, president of Imani Africa, and then Jerome Ochiri, who is a sports journalist. We are looking at Ghana football this week on Val's Day. A number of sports journalists and football enthusiasts, including some old people and some musicians, hit the street to demonstrate against what they term the poor state of Ghana football. They think that Ghana football is going nowhere, and in recent times, it's come to a head where Ghana, of all countries, unable to qualify out of the group stages at AFCON, and the fact that we've often lost to teams which were never on the radar a couple of years ago. What does it mean? That those countries are doing better in terms of the development of their game in their country. We are not doing it, or what? We want to look at that. The demonstrating team presented a petition to various bodies, including the Office of the Speaker of Parliament, and they made a number of points. For example, developing a national football policy, instituting a commission of inquiry, accountability, dissolution of the search committee's report on the appointment of a Black Stars coach, new Black Stars coach, player development, all of that. We'll deal with all of that and see where really the problem is. Is a problem the GFA? Is it a problem? Is a problem the Ministry of Sports? Or is a problem the government of Ghana or the state of Ghana? The state, what is the state of infrastructure for our sports? We've seen what Morocco is doing. We've seen what even Senegal is doing. And indeed, the results are there for everybody to see. So when you see Morocco doing well today, it's not because they just woke up one day and saw it. There was a deliberate plan started some 10, 15 years ago that has brought them where we are presently. What has been Ghana's own contribution to its own game? Do we only wait to go and import persons born abroad by Ghanaian parents who play football in those areas to come and play our game when our local league is in tatters? What really is the issue? All right, so in the wake of Ghana's second successive group stage exit from the Africa Cup of Nations, a section of football supporters formally expressed their displeasure over the woeful state of the sport in the country. Fronted by sports journalists, the hashtag Save Ghana Football demonstration witnessed a huge gathering that strode through intense heat to go beyond just talking, but literally walking the talk.
Awareness of the Save Ghana Football demonstration and Ghana football sympathizers commenced the highly anticipated protest at the Obra Sport and walked through part of Accra before converging at the Independence Square. En route to the square, protesters were prevented from moving to the premises of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, sparking heated discussions between members of the protest and the Ghana Police Service. Speaking to the gathering, a convener of the demonstration, Sadiq Adams, listed items they won't change to save Ghana football.
Number one on our petition, we want the President of Ghana and the Parliament to institute an investigation into the World Cup 2022 Qatar. $100,000 appearance fees and kickbacks and the budget that was sent. We know a lot of infractions in there. AFCON 2023. We want the budget and the World Cup to be investigated. Those who took $100,000 must return the money into the coffers of football. We want the World Cup and the AFCON to be investigated. Number two, we want accountability. We want accountability. The Ghana FA is holding the national team on behalf of us. When they get sponsorship, they must make sure not only 127 people, every Ghanaian should know what they get. Every Ghanaian should know what they get with our national team. And we want accountability of our World Cup and AFCON contest. Number three, we want you to dissolve the management committee. We want the government to be sure. They want the interest of Ghana football. We want a part of football. You can't bring your friends to come and take 100,000.
All right, so that's except from the demonstration that occurred a couple of days ago on Valsday about the future of Ghana football, or the state of Ghana football, and what the future of it should look like. Neil Antevandapoy, former sports minister, he knows the ropes. Ebenezer Nina Nete, lover of sports and football. And he's also leading a demonstration against the leadership of the Heart of Folk. And Franklin Kujo as well, lover of sports and everything, myself. So, Jerome, you are in the mix. Tell us what you and your friends or your friends decided to do when they convened this demonstration. What went into the process, really?
Okay, so anyone who has been following Ghana sports, or more specifically football, would see that there's been a trend over the last, let's say, 10 years, where the senior national team goes for a competition and money becomes an issue. Money becomes an issue not because the players want money, but more because the leadership of the team has what I would call misplaced priorities. So instead of having a team that is focused and concentrated on why they went to the tournament, which is playing the game, we end up coming home talking about money issues. And I said 10 years because I want to place it in the proper context. Daily Graphic of, I think, June 27th, 2014, had a banner headline, "Money ruined us." And they were quoting Kwesi Nyantakyi, the former FA president, as saying that when we went to Brazil, although we were there to play football at the global football fiesta, we ended up, talking about money. And money eventually derailed everything we wanted to do. When we came back, the government then set up a commission to look into what happened. And without any disrespect to the commission, I felt that it wasn't going to end anywhere. Not because the commission was going to do a poor job, but because, you see, after issuing the report, after government white paper comes on the report, it is going to be left with implementation. And I saw that we have been a people who talk so much about what needs to be done, but when it gets to the point of doing what has to be done, everybody takes a back step, or all of us withdraw from what we know to be right. And that is what has continued to this point. If you take that commission report, there was one point, and I'm going to show you how I feel whatever is happening is complicity between the Ghana Football Association and the government of the land, whether it is the former government or the present government. But, I mean, to be very fair, we have a government in place now, and we have to talk or speak to them. If you take that commission report, there was a clear-cut point about the constitution of the Black Stars Management Committee and its membership. It gave a quota, or let's say the number of people who can be on that committee. And from all my readings, it didn't have to go beyond 5. When the current football administration came into office, they had 6, 7 people on the Black Stars Management Committee. That was a first step to disregarding whatever the commission did. And I'm saying that if such little things, and I would say it's little because this is a composition of a committee. It's not anything that it's not rocket science. So I was expecting that if you cannot implement anything in the commission's report, the composition of a committee shouldn't be difficult, but they disregarded it. And that, for me, was the beginning of how things were going to unfold in terms of, the kind of mismanagement we have seen when it comes to the Black Stars. And I was expecting that if the FA would disregard the commission's work, not the sports ministry, because as ministry, you are more or less the representative of the people. You are the government, and you are there for the people. The FA is, let me say, a football association, a group of people doing their own thing. But when we have the state representing the interest of the people, they must always put the people first. But the ministry said nothing. The ministry did not see anything wrong with a flagrant abuse of the commission's work. So that was passed. Now we went to AFCON 2021, and you check what happened. If we have a sports ministry that is really in charge of sports development, you will not have the situation where we go to a pre-tournament camping and you have the ministry citing a reason different from the FA's reason as to why we went to Qatar. I'm building the point from that angle. We went to Qatar in the wisdom of the ministry because we had to acclimatize. And now note this. We went to Qatar in December 2021. At that time, we were not qualified for the World Cup. There were still 2 games to be played. And those games were crucial games. Ghana, Nigeria in Kumasi, Ghana, Nigeria in Abuja. If the ministry says we went to Qatar to acclimatize for the World Cup, how do you acclimatize for a
something you've not qualified? 2 crucial games left.
For me, that was abnormal. Number 2, the FA disagreed with the ministry as to why we went to Qatar. And I'm saying that the Football Association, the Sports Ministry must always be in sync. I know there's always going to be disagreement, but leadership of the Sports Ministry, leadership of our football must find a common ground to project Ghana football. And on that level, that is not what they did. We went to Qatar, proceeded to Cameroon. At the end of the tournament in Cameroon in 2022, even though it was AFCON 2021, we couldn't win a game. And that was the first time since independence Ghana had gone to AFCON without winning a game. Now, if you check the expenditure of the team, in terms of appearance fees, over $800,000 were paid.
For appearance fee?
Yes. For 26, 27 players and 14 officials. I am saying that it's a bogus reward system we have in place, such that a team that goes to a competition, not won a game, still has thousands of dollars to share amongst themselves. I mean, I think on this table I'm about the youngest. And especially when you have a sports minister sitting here, a former sports minister sitting here, he will understand the operations of the game better than I do. I have not seen anywhere in my young life of following football where a team goes to a competition, they don't win a game, they actually perform worse than the country has done in any football competition. Yet, close to $1 million is confidently shared. You fast forward to post-tournament discussions. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Sports and Culture set up a committee, and I have their reports here. I've been going through their reports, and you look at some of the things that came up at the probe. You look at some of the things that some of the players said, including the captain of the team, and you put everything together. You get the feeling that from AFCON 2021 going to the next AFCON, Ghana will have a better management of affairs. So let us wait and see. We go into AFCON 2023, and if it is not worse, it is only a repetition of almost everything we did that ensured our failure at the previous AFCON. And I'm saying that if you put all the issues together, there's no way you can absolve the government from blame, neither can you absolve the Football Association from blame, nor the Management Committee of the Black Stars. Although the composition of the Management Committee of the Black Stars changed. And I cannot come to any conclusion than complicity. And
complicity between the FA and the state.
And the government. And see, it is willful. It is deliberate in the sense that everything that went on in 2021, we knew it. The minister in that report actually assured the committee that all the things that happened that we agree were bad are going to be corrected. Now, those things were not corrected. I'll give you an example. So, if it's about planning, the committee report says that the advance party that was sent to Cameroon to look at what happened, to look at the team's camping, where they would sleep, where they would train, and all those things, came back with a report. When they went, there were problems with, the players complained that some of the places they slept were not good. And I'm saying that, how does an advance party goes to do their checks, comes back with a report, the team eventually goes and still has problems? It means somebody didn't do his job well. If you bring it to AFCON 2023, we were told that we were going to camp in South Africa. Now check. At that time in South Africa, temperatures were cold. It was around 15 degrees, thereabouts. Namibia, who are in the same region with South Africa, saw wisdom in traveling to Ghana, camped somewhere
because around playing in Côte d'Ivoire.
Thank you. They were training at Legon. We felt that there was sense in going to South Africa when countries around that region were rather coming to our country. I'm saying that in terms of planning, I cannot accept that the FA and the ministry did their job well. You would say, oh, but this is the FA. Of course it is the FA. But somebody endorses that. If it's the budget, it is going to go to the ministry, and the ministry will endorse it. Somebody should know that if Namibia is coming to Accra, why do you leave Accra for Johannesburg?
Even if Namibia was not even coming to Accra, West Africa, you can't be playing a tournament next door. I mean, same climatic conditions, sometimes the same language, because there's a spillover.
Thank you.
And now you go somewhere else to camp when you could have even camped in your own country because the conditions are the same. So
yes, and I'm saying that it is because we have decided to do things that way. It is not because the people doing the job don't know that that decision it's wrong in itself. let's look at the money issues and see whether we like it or not. Or let me be more modest and say that from where I sit, the problems of the Black Stars has got to do with how it is being managed. It is not the players, it is not the coaching, it is not any. You can look at those issues. And I've listened to Honorable a couple of times where, for instance, he was so mad at the way Chris Hilton did his job at the AFCON. Those are specific issues we can talk to. But when you have fundamental issues of management, how the senior national team has been run over the course I have told you, even if you bring the best of coaches to handle this thing, they will fail. They will fail in the sense that we presented a budget of around $8.5 million or so for this AFCON. Ordinarily, I wouldn't have had problems with these things. But when there has been a consistent build-up of issues of how we have monetized the team, and at the same time, the best the team has given us is embarrassment, humiliation of the national flag. You cannot continue to justify such expenditure on the team. And that is why my friends or my brothers demonstrated. See, I have been looking at the Black Stars budget for the World Cup, the last World Cup. And I've been looking at some of the figures in there. The last time I raised this issue, somebody at the FA told me, have I seen the actuals? I was so respectful to him that I told him, if I publish the actuals, you chase me. But see, if you put together how much the head of delegation, the general secretary, the administrator, the public assistant to the coach, the national teams department, and the purse holder were going to take, they are around $90,000. Because Black Stars is going to the World Cup, we must give $90,000 to these people for no work. When you come to our National Football League, the champion, after 34 games, or probably more than 30 games, takes home maximum of $30,000. And I'm saying that if you are doing proper football development, when World Cup money comes, and it is 9 million, FIFA has given you 9 million because you have qualified for the World Cup, you don't do a money sharing expedition. That supervises national disgrace, and they are still giving $500,000. And one of them comes out to say, look, this is too much, I cannot take it. I don't want my name to be soiled in this football mess, so take your money. Some others take it and are still able to justify why they must take that money. But all these things come at the expense of the team's non-performance. Like we saw in Ivory Coast, each of the Black Stars players were given $20,000 for what they did. And I'm saying that if you want to develop football in this country, let's take the issue of infrastructure. If AFCON 2021, we shared over $800,000 to players, even though they couldn't win a game. 27 players and 14 officials. No game was won. They took almost $1 million. And the FA president comes to tell me that FIFA Forward Project gave him $740,000. And that has been able to construct a pitch at Bolgatanga. And he's clapping. He's asking the media to praise them for a good job done. FIFA accountability checks, quality assurance checks, all of that have seen that this was a good job done for $740,000. Yet when we have our taxes, we pay $1 million or so to players, even though they did nothing at the competition. But if you go to Bolga, you are happy that FIFA money, less than what you spend on yourself, is able to give you something that Bolga has never had.
So is it your claim that, is it your case that because we don't do well or we did abysmally in that tournament, we shouldn't have been paid at all, or the amount of money they were paid was too much?
I have a problem with the quantum. I know when officials travel, they are to be given per diem. They will eat, they will sleep, there will be laundry, there will be transport, air tickets. In fact, I have said that if I run the Black Stars, I'll put the players on first class. I don't see anything wrong with that. I do not find anything wrong with that. But whatever is given them should be looked at in such a way that if you are reporting to anybody, if the ordinary Ghanaian sits by TV or radio and looks at what is happening, he will feel that, oh, they didn't do well, but this is okay for them. In 2010, all of us were happy the Black Stars lifted the national flag. In fact, on the continent, everyone was happy. I don't remember people questioning how much they were giving. Same as 2006, I have no idea who raised a finger against how much they were giving. Probably was not an issue. Today, it is an issue, and it's been so from 2014 till date, because the team consistently underperforms. And we have to be very careful how we are monetizing the team at the expense of performance. They are not even performing. If you put all those issues aside, is the ministry interested in football development or sports development? Such that we have other sporting disciplines who cannot even boast of $100,000 when they go to their competitions. But when it comes to Black Stars, we can raise $3 million within weeks and give it to the team. Boxers, cyclists, swimmers, even the other football teams, female national teams. As we speak, the Black Queens are old. The coaches are old, the players are old. If you take Black Princesses, we don't even know their bonus structure. We don't even know how much they'll be given, even though they'll be going to their World Cup. I am saying that if it is not government complicity with the FA, what is it? Because the money doesn't come from the FA.
Let me talk to somebody who has been in government and who's run the sports ministry before. So Nilante, these problems didn't start today. I'm sure you had your fair share of those problems when you were there. What is the cause? What is the cause of the problem? Why are we here? You know, as it is that the FA is become so powerful, nobody can bring them to order. So, for example, you draw a budget for the Black Stars, and you don't want anybody to see the budget. You said you tell us the budget after the competition. Having such disrespect to everybody, I'm not sure what Parliament is able to do about that, whether Parliament knows about it. But you draw a budget, the money is not yours, the money is for us. You won't tell us how much it is because you say we will talk, and that will discourage the players. Even without the talking, they go and disgrace us. You know, I don't get what it is. So he's saying that there's complicity between government and government in general and the FA, because he thinks that without that complicity, this thing shouldn't be happening, because somebody must call somebody to order. If they bring budget to sports minister says make the budget public, or he makes the budget public, subject to discussion or debate before it is approved, all of that. You know, at least there's some transparency. So you have been there. What is the problem? What's the problem?
Well, Salam, thank you very much. Let me say that I want to thank Jerome for his perfect analysis of the situation.
Thank you.
It's not different from what I've said in the past up to today. Let me say, you know, right from the beginning when discussing the issue of reshuffle, I said that when President Mama called me and wanted me to go to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, I don't know, I'm surprised Jerome was still remembering that graphic. He showed me the front page of the graphic. Yeah, he showed me.
I have it there.
And he told me, he spoke in Hausa with me. Nasen kamaka yaka.
Oh, you speak Hausa?
Yeah, I do. He said, Nasen kamaka yaka, I know you can do something. I want you to go and do something about it. One of the first things I did when I went to the ministry, I've been in the ministry before. I've worked with ET Mensa, I've worked with this football, so I know how football is run in the country. I've been in management before. And I've always questioned the fact that I have been a footballer. I've been in club management. I've been in national team management. I ask myself, if the club were to be mine, is that the way I would want it managed? That's the first question I wanted to ask myself. So I did. So I called my chief director, I called my director of finance, I said, look, what can we do about this issue? I went through it and I saw that the budget was not the budget at all. The budget was, as it said, was to satisfy the capricious aggrandizement of few people. That's all. But not really for the football. Because close to half of the budget was going into people's pockets to satisfy people. So we did analysis of the budget and we saw that we could cut down the expenditure on a Black Star match. At that time, it was a match. From now schools, water, health, education to take care of. You understand? It is not on sports. At that time, the total budget of the Ministry of Youth and Sports was just about $32 million.
Dollars or cedis?
Cedis. And we're spending close to 3 times the budget on only the Black Stars. So in actual fact, right from one, all other disciplines are neglected. So what was happening was that the ministers always will fall on the office of the president for support to take care of the other disciplines. That was what they were doing all the time. That's why almost always the ministry was in arrears of what is due or what was due the Black Queens and the other teams apart from the Black Stars. You dare not, owe the Black Stars at that time. Lucky enough for me, under President Mills, we had the opportunity of going to FIFA headquarters. And we're told that the government has every right to interrogate, you understand, and look into and ask for accountability on monies that are expended by government, the taxpayers' money on the Black Stars. What the government cannot do was the issue of monies that are sent from FIFA. FIFA has their own way of accountability as far as those things are concerned. So I had a tool. So based upon that, I decided that, look, I will take care of the ones I am supposed to take care of. So I did. And then you knew about the problem I had with the Black Stars. They bringing me a blank sheet and say that I should do the budget myself if I don't want to. You know. And that was the beginning of my problem with Nyantichi. I did not have any problem with him. We were friends before. But I thought that, I called them, I thought that we should sit down and look at this issue of this budget. How much was voted for medicals? If you could show me.
Yeah, I will.
If you could show me medicals.
Let's go on. I'll look for it.
One Black Star match, and I saw $10,000
for medicals.
For medicals. So I called the medical officer, and I asked him that, how come you spend this amount of money on medicals? He said, me, I always bring my drugs and everything from 37. I've never taken any money before. You understand? I said, really? He said, yes. And most of the time, when any player gets a serious injury, because they are from outside, their teams will request that they are sent back. So normally what you do, that you take him from the stadium to maybe 37.
Okay.
So they do...
So medicals for World Cup 2022 was $30,000. But even that, it's at a certain stage. When you go on, you see for therapists, you see mazwa, you see dietitian, you see, I cannot even understand the breakdown.
Meanwhile, in all tournaments, the tournament organizers have a whole medical team in charge of this. So any serious injury we're taking care of at the tournament. So I felt that was. Then there was 100,000 miscellaneous. There was 100,000 ways and means. 100,000. So when you sit and you look at all this, so that, look, these things were not right. So I tried together. I went to my president. I discussed with him, and we did what we have to do. And then we cut down to, apart from the dollar component, there's also a very serious cedi component. Yeah. So if you put the dollar and the cedi component together, you are talking about almost $1.2 million on one Black Star match. So I decided that, look, I need, since we've all agreed that money was our problem in Brazil in 2014, and then the white paper has indicated what we should do. In fact, one of the issues that white paper indicated was that the state should no more spend money
on supporters.
Yes,
but we've been doing it.
Yeah. So like he said, like Jerome is saying, the white paper, the basic things that the white paper talk about, which we hail some of the problems we are having, have been neglected over the period. In 2016, if you remember, we qualified very well for the World Cup. We had even qualified for the Cup of Nations before we played our last match. So, for example, we had a last match with Uganda here. So I decided that, look, to save money, at that time, the Paralympic team was going to qualify for Olympic Games. They had the last this thing to go. The beach volley team also were going to play Burkina Faso to qualify for the All Africa Games. We had Yampofo Ankrest team,
beach soccer.
They were also going to Cote d'Ivoire. We had the volleyball team itself also going to Niger. All these were owing the Black Princess, owing the Black Maidens. So I look at all that and say, look, why should we go ahead and spend so much money on a Black Star match that ordinarily we should win? Because we're going to play Uganda, who at that time were having close to 90% of their national team players coming from their local league. And if we assume at that time that our local league was better than Uganda, so I said, look, let's save the money and take care of the other disciplines so that we can use local players. You remember what happened? The GFA setup tried to create a wedge between me and the Black Star players and said, look, your minister doesn't want you to play the national team again. So, and then they asked the players to buy their own ticket. With the vice president there, Afriye, in my office, and we look at it. I asked the coach whether he could still do with local players. He said yes, he could manage. After all, we've already qualified. You know, we needed just a draw. And so the coach, we agreed everything. Well, later when they left, the rest of the GFA decided that. So they called the players, and the players bought their ticket and came down for that match. With all these players, we drew. And then after the draw, I was sent a letter asking to pay the bonuses for the players. I refused. I refused. Because I made it clear to them that we are not going to pay the tickets and we are not going to pay any bonus. Will you believe that after my exit, during the time of Esiama, all those monies were paid?
Oh.
Yes, all those monies were paid. I look at the budget before AFCON 2017. I did the budget. The budget which was brought to me at that time was $5.something million. I went through and everything together with my staff. We went to the presidency. We discussed with chief of staff and all that. And we brought the budget down to 2.7. 2017 AFCON expenditure was $3.5 million. 3.5. So, like Jerome is saying, there must be that conscious effort by the ministry, by extension the government, because for any of these expenditures, you get clearance from the chief of staff office. You get clearance. In fact, the minister will write a cover note on the budget that has been presented to the office of the president, and that will be minuted and approved before the expenditure will be done. So, like Jerome is saying, the complicity, you cannot only hold the management of the FA liable, the state is also liable. Because we not had ministers who had that strength to say that this is not right, and as such, we're going to stop.
I see.
You remember the issue of bonus, for example. When I came in, I said, why should Black Star players playing for the nation actually adding value to them by offering them that platform, dictating to us how much we must pay them? Like Jonas said, I felt that if we can have a clear-cut allowance policy for all the national teams, so that even if I'm a boxer, I know that if I get into the ring tomorrow to fight for Ghana,
this is how much I'm entitled.
This is how much I'm entitled to. And that is what South Africans have done. The Kenyans have done. You know, today, Europe, all the national teams, talking about equity. This is a structure. So if the men are getting this, the women must also get it. You know, remember, it also happened with the U.S. national team. You know, so we need to have a clear-cut policy and say, look, this is how much we're going to spend on sports. And this is how much we're going to do as incentive or motivational package for every sportsman in every sporting discipline. So that athlete will be inspired by the fact that if I do well at the championship, this. And I also think that to resolve this problem, we must not just get up and say that appearance fee, Black Star player appearance fee, this. You understand? If you're going to pay appearance fee for the Black Star, then you must as well pay appearance fee for an athlete, for a boxer, for a hockey player, everybody. Because what makes the Black Star player different from the national hockey team player?
Or is it not the case that they bring in more money in terms of corporate Ghana?
It is not true.
So once they bring in more corporate Ghana money,
it is not true.
Benefits more.
It is not true. You see, the issue is that if you give the other discipline, as we're talking today, Soccer doesn't give the US more money. You understand? Soccer doesn't give even UK more money. The Premier League has its own administration, but when you come to a national team, no. The national team even makes more money through cricket than soccer. You understand? The national. And the British government invests in the national team. Recently, the FA were called to Parliament. They were even told to look at the issue of discrimination, the issue of marginalization, else government will cut the budget for the promotion of football. You understand? Jerome says something. I wish the monies that come to us is supposed to be development fund. How much of that money goes into the National League, which is the basic development level fund? How much goes into coast football? All these structures that we had in the past that were development centers for our game are collapsed. Today, people who are involved in second division, third division, and the rest are doing so from their own philanthropic gestures, and not because there's a conscious national effort to develop that sector or that levels of our game. Meanwhile, if you go to UK, it is incumbent upon every professional club to develop the game from the basic level. That's why you can get up and have Kobe Menu going to Manchester at the age of 8.
Saka going to Arsenal at the age of 7.
You understand? Ryan Giggs going to Manchester at the age of 6.
Okay, age of 8 and all.
There is a deliberate effort. Right now, UK has built St. George's. And St. George's is there developing personal human resource. So that people like Jerome in sports administration, in sports market, are going there to learn. There are people who are there every day looking at the development of the game. They thinking, they put money into it. We can't sit here and think that the GFA has the capacity, the knowledge, the herewithal to be able to change and transform our game.
So talk to me about the GFA's role, because there's this thing we hear that GFA, like you can't touch GFA, you can't touch the football. If you touch it, FIFA will sanction you and all of that. And because of that, it's like GFA is untouchable. They do as they please. And whilst we've left them to do as they please, they go and they bring the national disgrace, and then we are all hurt and we are all fighting and now we are all demonstrating and all of that. To what extent can government deal or the state deal with the GFA to ensure that they do the right thing? And who owns the Black Stars? Is it the GFA or it is the government or the people? Who owns it?
You shouldn't ask them.
Yes, because it appears the Black Stars is the property of the GFA, and it doesn't make sense.
When we went to FIFA, we were told one thing. The FIFA boss said, look, we are conscious of the fact that in Africa, without government support, football will survive. Yeah. The only thing we don't want African governments to do is direct interference in the management of the game. You understand? And not the development of the game. Because by all standards, without government support, the game cannot be developed. Because, like John said, all these pitches are dead. Who are going to build those
We don't even have a proper stadium as a country as we sit
As we sit today.
And that's so embarrassing. We don't have a stadium.
The GFA cannot build a stadium. It's the government that can build a stadium.
So haven't we given the GFA too much power?
No, I think it was ignorance in the past. That thinking that the GFA is untouchable and as such we shouldn't know. But I think that myth was broken after President Mills met the
FIFA president.
And it became clear. So I was thinking that subsequently, SMA will have followed with the sort of steps are taken to one, reduce budget, reduce expenditure, that, also keeping the GFA in check as far as doing things their own way was concerned. But as soon as the transition happened and people thought that, Nilante was the problem, and somebody came in and became too friendly with the GFA, we went back to ground zero. You understand? So you need someone at the ministry who, for all intents and purposes, will have a national direction that this is what I want to do, and I'm doing this in the interest of the development of the game.
Very
Simple.
Well. Very well.
I just want to show you something.
Okay.
Why I think that government or our governments have not helped us. This is the former sports minister, Isaac Asiama, in after the World Cup in 2010. He says, and it's been...
2010, he was in Parliament as the youth and sports guy.
It's a quote from the Daily Guide. And the report says, the minority, led by the ranking member on youth and sports, Isaac Esiama, in an interview with Daily Guide, questioned the expenditure, asking government to disclose to Ghanaians the recipients of the disbursed money. You know, lump sum figures were given as technical team, $120,000, players, this. So he was asking for specifics and a breakdown. Honorable Esiama, who is also MP for Echiman Pomia, said the Mills administration could not throw such without complaining against or about when he was outside of government. When he came into government, he did not do what he was doing when he was in opposition.
Or could it be that there's a difficulty with doing that? That's why he complained about it.
What is the difficulty?
But he couldn't do it.
See, earlier on the floor, the MPs could not interrogate the Youth and Sports Minister for her to give a detailed account of the expenditure because the Speaker had ruled that the stipulated time for an hour for questions had elapsed. I'm saying that it's our money. It's, except someone is saying the people don't matter. It's the people's taxes. So if you are paying specific amounts of money for Black Stars and the people ask, you have to be candid enough to speak to
be transparent to the matters.
I mean, we don't lose anything.
Yes. I'll take a short break. When I return, we will now speak to Ebenezer Nina Nete, who is a sports enthusiast but not a sports expert, and Franklin Kujo, who is a policy guy but not a sports expert. Their views are important because we need to know what the people are outside of the sports circles think. There's been the call for the development of a national policy, football policy. I'll ask Franklin how important that is and if that can change anything at all, and a few other things. This is the big issue. Don't go away. You're welcome back to the big issue. We are looking at the matter of football, how to bring back the love for the game, how to save Ghana football. And we've had Jerome Ochi, a sports journalist, enthusiast, taking us straight out of the problems. Former sports minister Neil Antevanapo has been also telling us from the view of government or sports ministry how things happen. I will speak to Ebenezer Nina Nati, former legislator and a football lover as well, what he makes of all that he's heard from the people and what, in his view, as an ordinary lover of sports and football, how the problem can be resolved. So, Honorable, we've heard from the experts on the matters. What do you think is the problem and how do we resolve it, at least from the outside?
If I listen to Jeron and Honorable Delante, I've had a total change of mind when it comes to our football in this country. To be honest and sincere with you, I personally think that we don't have any football association in the country. Personally, for me, I think that we have just a money-making organization in the name of sports. Yeah. To be honest and sincere with you, I also think that the name of GFA needs to be changed. It shouldn't be Ghana Football Association. So the focus and the mentality is all about football. But what about other disciplines? Those who sit in the wheelchairs, I think about 2 years ago, they came to my house begging for funds. Yeah. And when you look at their budgets, for them to take into that tournament, to be honest and sincere with you,
it's small.
Very small. And I was like, you need this amount of money, and you are going around begging individuals to support you. Meanwhile, there's a budget for the Ministry of Youth and Sports. There's a budget that goes to the GFA. Sports Council is there. And all these associations cannot help you to raise this amount of money. Honestly, I think the first time we went to the World Cup, 2006. Then the second World Cup, we have never had any good performance from our Black Star. Yeah. We have never had any good performance. All what they only go and come with is squandering of money. to be honest and sincere with you, currently as we are speaking, look at our infrastructures that we have in this country.
We don't have a proper stadium now.
Look at Kumasi.
Football, we don't have a
look at Accra. Look at Cape Coast.
Esipon is terrible.
Esipon.
Tamale.
We don't have. If we cannot compare, yes, I would say that my government have done well when it comes to AstroTurf in various constituencies. We are talking about international stadium, whereby we can host a football and a tournament, but not Nilante 11 versus AB 11 at maybe Loso Park.
That's why recreational pitches we have built. We have built recreational pitches.
But our stadiums that we have cannot be functioning for football.
No.
Now only do entertainment, either for musical concerts or politicians to go and organize rallies. That's what it's meant for. So how would people even get or exhibit their talents that has been given to them?
They need to raise money from the stadium. So
9th May, the stadium disaster. I was discharged from the hospital a day before.
Whoa.
In the evening, I just came out to sit. I live at Abosoka. So I just came out to just be receiving fresh air. Then I said, let me walk to the street. When I got to the Gaskia cinema, come and see. Stadium. And I jumped into the car.
Oh.
When we go to Circle, right after STC, the bus stop where they have built this markets, 3 guys came to join the car. Their dress is full of blood. They had an accident at in Sawam. That did not even stop them. They still came to the stadium.
Wow.
So it tells you how people love football.
Yeah.
But today, what do we see? Me sitting here as an Accra Asofo supporter, I can't even mention 4 of our players in Accra Asofo. How many players can you even mention for the Black Star and the other teams? Anytime there's Olympics and Accra Asofo match in Accra State Stadium, the place is full. Today, let's open the gates. People don't even go. Because the interest of football is no more there. Because the focus now has been shifted to how do we make money. Just as Jerome is saying, let's check that the money that was voted for the AFCON, and they went just Ivory Coast, a walking distance from Ghana. Because when you get to Suma, Sampa Suma, you cross the border, you enter Ivory Coast. With the Black Star, even can you use VIP to go to Ivory Coast? Look at the money that we spent.
And we understand CAF gave us $700,000 for preparation.
Exactly.
$700,000.
Somebody comes to your country and have a training in your country, and you decided that for me to make money, not thinking about the team performance, let's go to a different place where we can make money out of it. That's why I'm saying that yes, the name of GFA should be changed. Because the focus now is not about our football any longer. Look, I had a serious issue with somebody in my constituency. He's an NDC person. Very serious issue. But the World Cup settled the two of us. Because I think one of our matches, after that we were jubilating. As soon as I came home from the house, then he greeted me. Oh, Eben, how did you see the match? Somebody I don't talk to. Today is my best friend. So you see what football can do. Unfortunately for us in this country, it is not the way we are expecting. Because all the focus now is about money. And you see, after after Brazil, the issue that came out of Brazil, there's a commission, a lot of money was spent for them to do investigation and come out with a white paper. A decision was taken. Did we implement those decisions?
That's a problem.
And you see, I think with the exception of Nilante, almost all the ministers who have been at that ministry have had issues. Almost all of them. Kofi. No, with your issues is not relating to mismanagement.
Okay.
Your issue is relating to you making sure that things are done correctly.
Okay.
And that's what people don't want to understand. I remember when this man, Malam Issa, 2001. So, for this ministry, if you are not a mafia, you cannot be at that ministry. Because if you don't koto, or if you don't dance to their music, they will make sure that they'll be fighting with you. And that is the same thing Nilanti was experiencing. With those, so if we are able to dance with their song, if you are able to play drafts with them, you'll be able to succeed at the ministry. Because I simply don't understand that the GFA can come out and be boasting of doing a borehole. And sometimes I didn't say some of this borehole. How much is a borehole? That you said you have done a borehole at this place, you have done borehole at this.
Or donated 10 or 5.
Can you imagine this?
Football.
You have local football players who for about a year or two they will not be paid. You have football players that are receiving a little over 500 Ghana cedis a month. So the question that you ask yourself, is the focus of GFA only on the Black Star? When was the last time that under 17, under 20, under 21, and all these teams qualified? For so many years now, we don't even hear of them.
In the early and mid 90s, the under 17 especially,
I'm telling you,
it was a toast of the world.
They were the first to win Ghana. How do you call it? World Cup.
So we had 91, we had 95.
And we have players at that. You see, I believe that the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the Ministry of Education need to sit down and come out with a plan. Today, even in our own communities, we don't even have football parks.
Yeah.
Now all the football parks have been turned to apartments and have been turned to a different thing. And those that we have, how do you call it? The athletes. So if the youth in that constituency don't have money, how would they go and exhibit their talent? Because the only football park that is there has not been sold to an investor.
An estate developer.
And he has built an estate there. Somebody has built a factory there. So how can we develop? Most of these secondary schools, sometimes somebody would perform well, but based on the person's performance when it comes to football or athletics, the person is being I know a lot of people, even today, in most of our football players that we know, they went to some of these schools because of football.
Yeah, so Michaelasian, and all of those guys.
They went there because of football.
Samajan and all of those. They went to school and
because this guy, what is this?
Beye.
When he went to Roman Mataiku, and when it's time for inter-schools, I'm at Abosokan AO, he's at Mataiku, and when for some of us, as soon as we see the guy, we get so mad because we know that for this guy there, he will score us because he can run. The talents are there.
He was an athlete too.
Yeah.
The talents are there, but today, what do we see? Nothing. And the Black Star will go for World Cup, will go for African Cup, go and disgrace us. And then when they come, the money that they will spend could have been used to do something better for this country. But how can one person get $100,000 in old Ghana cedis?
That's 1 billion.
13 billion.
13 billion.
One person. Within 1 week, you are getting 13 billion. 1 week. And the person is just working scot-free. All because it's a budget, it has been approved, and therefore you have the right to spend the money. Meanwhile, the other disciplines don't even have money. I heard once.
As we're talking today, I'm not cutting. As we're talking today, all the teams that are going to compete in the All African Games are suffering. They're not getting the money to even trade.
That's what I'm coming to say.
Guys cannot even get their.
I heard a sports presenter saying that look, most of the teams are now going, some have taken a polythene bag, others have taken a bowl, going to people and begging them to raise money.
For a tournament.
And about 10 or 15 people have taken $100,000 and they are enjoying with their family.
For Black Stars.
all in the name of Black Stars.
Very well. Let me talk to Franklin. Franklin,
I was just telling somebody that, look, MPP loyal ladies can even score Black Stars.
I'm not sure the sports guys can agree with you. But Franklin, on that note, the issues are clear. Now, the Save Ghana Football people want a few things done. We're talking about the fact that it doesn't appear there is a policy, a national policy. How do you go about doing this policy so that it doesn't become political? Let's say this government is here, this is our policy, and so this government leaves, we don't get this. And you think they're also calling for a commission of inquiry? We've seen the Jamafel Commission report. Nothing really is being done about it, even though the commission did a great job. I'm not sure about instituting a commission of inquiry based on what we've seen in the past. Accountability we've spoken about. Dissolution of the search committee's report on the appointment of a new Black Stars coach. Tell me how important it will be to fashion a national football policy or even a sports policy so it brings back the love and improves our game, takes it to where we want to get to.
Well, I was actually enjoying the conversation. I didn't want it to end. And for once, I thought I was listening to a conversation on the national economy. Because that's exactly what we are, right? I think everything happening to football, and it's rather sad, really, that when you want to turn to a sporting discipline that you can probably bury your sorrows and then try to be a bit more happy, then you are depressed. It's unfortunate. I thought that the current football administrators had some new lease of life in terms of administrators, people who have had the stint with business. And in this regard, I think the vice president or so, someone I know quite well, cut his teeth through the world of business. I don't know whether he's being swallowed by the demons around him or indeed, I really can't tell. But I know he's a very competent person. That's all I know that he can bring to bear on Ghana football. As to why everything else is happening to Ghana football, I frankly cannot understand. But put it to exactly what the country looks like when it comes to develop. Maybe we need a root and stem approach, changing the fundamentals of our football. Just as we want to change the Gogisberg economy to modern economy, we probably need to change a few things. Otherwise, look, I have no answers at all, except to say that it's not. We should just study from the habits of highly effective countries. Look at Cote d'Ivoire. Even though, yes, you can say they hosted the AFCON and they won, right? I mean, there were points where we thought we were out of the game, but they came back, right? They came back strong and won. That's the law we expect from our football. And I also agree that we should just not focus on football, but look at the other disciplines. I'll be surprised to hear that there are challenges even in the current All-Africa games that are supposed to be held. As I understand, they need some series of amounts as well. Maybe GFA can loan them. If they're able to magically raise 3 million in a week to pay for the tournament. I don't know. Were they eating gourmet meals as part of the $3 million? I don't understand. I mean, what was the AFCON's, the main price was about $7 million,
yes.
Right?
And we played for just a week or so, 3 games, and that's 3 million. 1 million for a game.
At the point, I had 8 million being budgeted. But at the point, I also heard that, look, we can't tell you the budget until we'll just be spending as and when we go. Nobody will spend his or her money wisely in that regard, right? But I think we should ask a series of questions, and I agree there should be all kinds of groups, but to what effect? If it doesn't help in changing the fortunes of our football, I mean, I'll be really, really sad that the next AFCON we are thrown out at the first round. It would be really, really sad. As I said, I don't have any competencies in that, except to say that the only thing we also enjoy, they should not destroy it. They shouldn't kill it.
Very well. Jerome, let me. So the search committee for the appointment of the Black Stars coach, the committee's finished its work, they are still on?
They are supposed to.
So
they were given 3 weeks or so.
Okay, so you guys are calling for the dissolution of the report. We don't know what's in the report now, right? And so, which big coaches have expressed interest?
Well, according to people around the FA, in fact, the vice president said over 500 coaches have applied. I don't believe that. Yeah.
It's a good job.
I don't believe that. But you see, the issues with the
so
Black
we should be wrapping up. We have just 2 minutes.
Yeah, the issues with the Black Stars for me is not with coaching.
Yes,
it's with management.
Yes.
And,
so it appears that they use the coaching to hide the real problem.
To mask,
the thing is bad, so sack the coach.
And
then attention shifts.
I have only one appeal for the government. If government should change, the next government should do same. See, the Black Stars and all national teams belong to the state.
To the state.
They belong to the state. When it comes to its management, the sports minister, the government of the day, should have interest and protect the state's interest in any way possible. We shouldn't leave it in the hands of the FA because so far we have seen they will destroy it. That's the only appeal I have because you see, if we leave it in the hands of the FA, they will do it anyhow. And once we are not able to check, and see, it's not because Honorable is here. Everywhere I've gone to, I have mentioned his name. I think in the last 10 years, he's the only sports minister who has really demonstrated a commitment to protect the interests of the states.
Could it be that it's because he understood the game? Because a lot of these guys, because he was in the game.
No, that's key. I mean, he ran commentary on the game for years.
For years, yeah.
Even before I was born, you know. So he understands what goes into the game, what comes out of it. So he can articulate views on it in a way that a lot of the other ones cannot do. But I mean, some of the things are straightforward. If you are to common sense. Yeah, if you are to camp for a tournament and you have 2 weeks to the tournament and you check the climate of the region the tournament is going to be played, you don't need to be a football person to know that, oh, this area is hot. So let us check, you know. I think that government has vested interest and they should protect that interest. That is not what we are doing at the moment. What we are doing at the moment is to sit with the FA and anything they bring forward, we endorse it and it goes. And without those checks and balances,
those people also have interest.
Yeah, but that is the problem. See, we need to check the way the national teams are managed. For example, as we speak, the Black Princesses, the Black Maidens, they've been banned for age cheating. It's a
banned for age cheating?
Yes, for age. It was a fraudulent thing that the FA supervised. They don't want to accept it, but it was fraudulent. If you present players who are not of a certain age to a competition and you are found out, and FIFA decides that for the next 6 years you are not playing in my competition, it's a dent on the identity of the state.
It's embarrassing. That's disgraceful.
And these are things that we shouldn't say, oh, it's Ghana Football Association.
But they've brought disgrace to us.
It is not a club matter. It is an issue of the national flag being involved. And if I was the sports minister, there should be questions to answer. FIFA put,
in other jurisdictions, the sports minister himself will have resigned.
FIFA put a question to, FIFA gave Ghana the opportunity to appeal. Even the FA came and lied.
When they appealed?
Yes.
When they didn't appeal?
They haven't.
Wow.
These are all matters that, and I'm saying that if it's club football, I support Kotoko. Kotoko itself has not been run well. But you can leave them.
But this is
national.
When
it comes to the national team,
we are all involved, and we should all be concerned. Too bad. Honorable, your very final words.
I think that, as Jerome has said, I said it from the beginning, you need to have people at the Ministry of Youth and Sports who understands the nuances of the place and also understands that I have a responsibility towards the state and not the individuals who are managing the game. So that when you have that consciousness, it becomes difficult for you to know that your paramount objective at the place there is to make sure you protect the state, the state interest and the interest of Ghanaians, and not the individuals.
Honorable Nati, your final words.
I agree with my chief with Anodompre when he says that yes,
we should risk even a FIFA ban.
So that we can restructure the Ghana Football Association.
We did that with the GOC.
Yes.
We did that with the GOC. And today, everything is managed
exactly.
Well.
So the same thing should be applied to GFA because for me, as I said, I don't see it as a Ghana Football Association, but I see it as a Ghana money-making association.
I see. Franklin, final words.
I have to say that we wish the GFA quite well. I'm sure they have taken in all the concerns and what should I call it, the accusations that are coming. They should act like real politicians and then try to turn things around.
I see. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much for doing the listening and the viewing. This is how we conclude today's edition of the program. I guess it is Nina Nate, former MP Ablikuma Central, Nila Tivanapo, former Sports Minister, MP Ododio, Franklin Kujo, President Money Africa, and Jerome Otri, sports journalist. My name is Selom Adonu. Catch you same time next week for another exciting edition of The Big Issue. Have a good afternoon.